Chapter 984. Clang. At this time, the door of the household registration office was pushed open. A group of beautiful women in military uniforms walked into the household registration office under the lead of a silver-haired woman. This group of aggressive female soldiers walked in, exuding a monstrous aura. Everyone in the household registration office was so scared that they kept quiet out of fear. What's going on? The trio from Earth was once again in a daze. Ever since they stepped on Horn Dragon Star, the things that happened were getting more and more strange. Luo Feng, be careful. Don't move, don't talk. The silver-haired woman is an immortal king. The female soldiers are sector lords. Don't resist. Babata reminded Luo Feng anxiously in his mind. Immortal king? Sector lord? Luo Feng's heart tightened. Cold sweat broke out on his back. A universe-level Luo Lan Mountain was already an unstoppable force. Now, even sector lords were small soldiers, and a leader was an immortal king. Isn't this too frightening? Chiwe greets the three majesties. At this time, the silver-haired woman walked up and bowed to the three of them. Greetings, your majesties. The remaining female soldiers bowed to the three of them at the same time. Your majesties? Us? The three of them looked at each other. When did we become your majesties? Under the orders of His Majesty Qin He, Chiwe is here to welcome the three majesties. Your Highness, please follow us to the Azure River Palace. His Highness Azure River is currently waiting for your Highness' arrival. The silver-haired woman smiled and explained her intentions. Qin He, it's really him? Hearing the familiar name, Qin He, Luo Feng and the other two understood. This Qin He planet was probably created by Lu Ziqing. But what did Lu Ziqing do? How did he create such a huge commotion? Even the immortal kings were his subordinates. Even the guards were sector lords. Did Lu Ziqing find an immortal from the Mount Shu sword sect? Confused, the three of them followed Chiue and the others out of the household registration office, taking a car to Lu Ziqing's palace. As for what happened at the household registration office, the three of them were not surprised. The entire planet belonged to Lu Ziqing, so it was very easy to raise the level of their identities. The flying carriage tore through the air, and not long after, it stopped in front of a palace that was as large as a city. Just as they got out of the car, Luo Feng and the others saw Lu Ziqing standing at the entrance of the palace. You guys just got here? I've been waiting for a long time. Lu Ziqing greeted him with a big smile. It really is you. Seeing Lu Ziqing, Luo Feng and the other two were overjoyed. Leaving Earth and coming to an alien planet in the territory of their own people was too convenient. Come on, come in and have a seat. Lu Ziqing led the three of them into the Green River Palace. That was the Cloud Scraper Vine? Are you going to plant it in the flower bed, just like that? Walking into the palace, Luo Feng and Hong were shocked to find that the winding vines in the flower bed beside the path were cloud contact vines. This kind of rare companion plant was an unattainable treasure in the eyes of countless people. But here, it was actually just a green plant planted in the flower bed. Compared to Hong and Thunder God, Luo Feng was even more shocked, because Babata kept screaming in his mind, that was the blue stargrass. That was the nebula flower. That was... Along the way, when Luo Feng walked into the palace and sat down, Babata was still screaming, Soul Cultivation Wood. The Soul Cultivation Wood was made into a chair? Too extravagant. Too extravagant. Qin He, you've given us quite a scare with your transformation. After Lu Ziqing sat down, the maidservant served him tea and snacks. Then, she bowed and left. Luo Feng and the other two looked at Lu Ziqing in shock and shook their heads with bitter smiles. Yeah, what's going on? Thunder God touched his bald head and asked curiously. Luo Feng was about to speak, but Babata screamed in his mind again. This is the water of life. This is the young leaf of the world tree. It's actually making tea? That's too unreasonable. Drink tea. Drink tea. This thing is okay. It's good for training. Lu Ziqing raised the teacup and took a sip, Nothing much, I just went to the fantasy ocean in the virtual universe. Then I met an elder. Lu Ziqing couldn't accept that he had become someone else's son out of nowhere, so he could only vaguely explain. Elder? The three of them suddenly understood. In the hearts of Luo Feng and the other two, this elder was naturally the elder of the Mount Shu Sword sect. Lu Ziqing found the organization, and with the terrifying strength of the Mount Shu Sword Immortals, it was naturally easy for him to make a name for himself in the universe. Ha ha! From now on, we brothers will have someone to rely on. Thunder God laughed loudly. Indeed, Hong smiled and nodded. I was still worried that we were inexperienced and might cause trouble outside. Now it seems that we have His Highness Green River's protection. We can do whatever we want. What is Highness Green River? Don't try to brush me off. The few of us are friends who have gone through life and death situations, saying this is treating me as an outsider. Lu Ziqing shook his head with a smile and continued. I do have some foundation now, although it's all because of the elder. Putting down the teacup, Lu Ziqing looked at the three of them. Big brother, second brother, Luo Feng, what do you plan to do next? Now, I have some resources here. It's easier for us to start. Hong nodded. Originally, our plan was to find a way to earn money, then exchange for a better cultivation technique. After all, our inheritance, it's nothing compared to the universe. Saying this, Hong looked at Lu Ziqing. However, now that you're rich, we don't need to earn money. Let's take advantage of you first. That's right. Beat the rich and divide the land. Thunder God slapped the table and laughed loudly. Yes, luckily, we're friends with the rich. This will save us a few decades of hard work. Luo Feng also laughed loudly. We're brothers, what's mine is yours. Lu Ziqing took out a screen and passed it to Hong. Big brother, this is the list of resources. Everything on it is stored in this palace's warehouse. See if there's anything suitable. I won't be courteous with you. Hong smiled and took the screen. Opening it, a virtual 3D projection appeared in front of him. Come, let's take a look. It's time to beat the rich. We're about to beat the rich. Thunder God and Luo Feng rushed over. Damn, so many undying inheritances? These cultivation methods and secret manuals are actually all immortal level inheritances? Seeing these techniques, Thunder God cried out in shock. The lowest weapons and armors are all sector lord level. There's even undying level weapons. Life fruit, crow holy water, 5 colored spirit crystals, blood meridians increasing medicine. And is it the origin of laws? Swallowing 1 drop is equivalent to 100 years of comprehension. The dazzling array of godly weapons and treasures made the 3 of them dumbstruck. How was this a rich person? This was clearly a god tycoon. Chapter 985. After messing around for a while, the task of beating the rich was completed. Each of them got a full set of sector lord level equipment, chose an undying inheritance, and even took some medicine and spirit herbs and other treasures. They all wore storage rings filled with treasures. The 3 Earth Bandits expressed that beating the rich was still the fastest way to earn money. What was even worse was that these 3 bandits even stayed at Lu Ziqing's place and refused to leave. Qingjiang, your gravity training ground, is too useful. In the huge training room, Luo Feng, Thunder God, and Hong laughed as they picked up their weapons, surrounding Lu Ziqing and attacking fiercely. Hong's spear was like an angry dragon. Thunder God's blade emitted threads of lightning, and Luo Feng's blades were all around. Ding, ding, ding. Lu Ziqing waved his sword. The sword light was like water rippling outwards. Under the attacks of the 3, he calmly dealt with them, free and easy. After condensing the sword intent, Lu Ziqing's sword techniques rose to a new level. His sword techniques had already reached the level of returning to one's original state. A casual swing of his sword was like an antelope's horn, completely natural. His mind, body, elemental energy, and the sword in his hand had already completely merged into one. Under the feeling of qi, the trajectory of every sword was indescribably wonderful, and the strength of every sword was just right. As far as Luo Feng and the other two were concerned, their battle with Lu Ziqing was like hitting air. Every move seemed to have landed on empty air. Even when clashing with Lu Ziqing's blade, it was like hitting empty space. It was as if a cool breeze had blown past, causing the fallen leaves to drift and fall into the air without a sound. I'm not fighting anymore. Thunder God threw away his blade, wiping the sweat on his forehead, and shook his head gloomily. The sword has become a domain, perfect and flawless. It's even stronger than boss domain. There's no way to fight. Your domain level is indeed much higher than mine. Hong laughed as he put away his spear. Shushan sword techniques are indeed worthy of their reputation. You guys already have a domain? I haven't even trained my own. Luo Feng put away his soaring shuttle and shook his head gloomily. Normally, only by becoming a domain lord can one reach the domain level. However, Lu Ziqing pointed at his head. Our thinking, our philosophy. Cultivate one's heart, nurture one's nature, and become one with the world. This is the reason why we were able to form a domain before becoming a domain lord. Yeah, God of Thunder slapped his thigh. We're all trained in Chinese martial arts. The philosophy of martial arts is the key to our advancement. So to speak, I still need to read the Tao Te Ching. Luo Feng nodded thoughtfully. Among them, he was the only one who practiced the Yun Mo planet's master's technique. The others all practiced Chinese martial arts. Lu Ziqing even practiced the legendary Shu mountain sword technique. Only Luo Feng's domain realm was lacking. It was obvious that the philosophy of ancient Chinese martial arts was the key to mastering the domain. Other than martial arts, I realized that we have another advantage, and that is our temperament. Lu Ziqing smiled as he looked at the crowd. I've been to the Sea of Illusions. It tests one's temperament. I feel that our philosophy is more effective in tempering one's mind than the cultivation methods of the universe. Seems like we still have a lot of advantages. Hong laughed loudly. People like us might really be able to make a name for ourselves in the universe. Thanks to Qing He, we're all-star traveler level 9. Let's train in the virtual universe, condense our elemental energy, and strive to break through as soon as possible. Walking out of the training room, everyone returned to the guest rooms in the palace. Using the virtual network terminal, they logged into the virtual universe and began the virtual battle. I'm also preparing to break through. After settling in the Star Traveler level 9 for a while and condensing his sword intent, Lu Ziqing had reached the critical point of breaking through. Your Majesty, are you going to break through? Just as he returned to the room, Lu Ziqing was about to enter meditation and break through. Suddenly, he saw the maid Lan Ling walk in. Yes, I've reached the critical point and can advance to the universe level. Lu Ziqing nodded. Lan Ling was an undying emperor. Lu Ziqing's level naturally couldn't hide from her eyes. Plus, there was no need to hide it. Lu Ziqing admitted it without hesitation. I think it's time for your Majesty to break through. Lan Ling smiled and extended her hand to take out an antique-looking wooden box and opened it. Within the box was a sea of blue light. There were countless blue crystal balls the size of soybeans. Your Majesty, these are star crystals. When you advance to the universe level, absorb these star crystals. It'll be very helpful when you advance to the Sector Lord level and condense your world. Sector Lord. All right. When he advanced to the universe level, he had to start preparing for the Sector Lord level. Rich people had a plan for the long term. Lu Ziqing extended his hand to take the box of star crystals and nodded. Thank you. These were left behind by Lord Greenwood and Lord Yuyan. There's no need to thank me. Lan Ling smiled sweetly and bowed before leaving. Kid, these star crystals are indeed good stuff. It's a type of universe crystal. When you advance to the Sector Lord level, it'll help with the birth of your internal world. The purple gold gourd smiled and explained. You've already fused with the origin laws. With these star crystals, it'll be even easier for you to use them. That's good news. Lu Ziqing smiled and nodded. Calming himself down, he began to prepare for his breakthrough. Placing the star crystals before him, Lu Ziqing focused on training and absorbing the energy of the land and skies. As Lu Ziqing inhaled and exhaled, streaks of blue light emerged from the star crystal. They rose up like silk threads and were absorbed into Lu Ziqing's body. The stars in his dantian and consciousness, under the influx of energy, grew stronger and stronger. They glowed even more brightly and intensely. Rumble. When the two stars expanded to their limits, they suddenly exploded violently. Light spots filled the sky with a loud rumble. The light spots were like resplendent stars. Wong, the star crystals before him suddenly flew up and melted, forming a blue light that entered Lu Ziqing's body. The starlight glowed, and the star river revolved. At this time, endless blue light entered the star river that was about to form. The star river was instantly formed. In the center was a deep black hole. Surrounding it were countless stars that formed a galaxy. Like a whirlpool, they revolved around the black hole, forming many spiral arms. The star river revolved slowly. Majestic energy flowed within his body. The origin laws that entered his body also exploded with endless light and entered the star river. Within his dantian was a star river. Within his consciousness, there was another star river, one above and one below. The two star rivers resonated with each other. Spirit and blood mixed together. The origin laws flowed through his body. A vast and boundless energy flowed within his body. It was like the vast starry sky, unfathomable. This was the universe level. A star river formed within his body. The moment every star in the star river grew to the level of a star, its power would be countless times stronger than a star level. Chapter 986. Your Majesty wants to go out and train? After reaching the universe level, the violet gold gourd still had some leftover pills from the sky splitter beast and the crocodile demon. He swallowed these pills and fought in the virtual universe. 1 year later, Lu Ziqing was already a universe level 9. Every level from level 1 to 9 was a process of energy accumulation. There wasn't any qualitative improvement. In the universe space, when the great beings nurtured their disciples, they all skipped this energy accumulation process to save time. It was obvious that Lu Ziqing was a disciple of a great being. And all this while the purple gold gourd had been helping Lu Ziqing improve. A year later, Luo Feng, Thunder God, and Hong had all broken through and enjoyed the treatment of being a disciple of a great being. Their cultivation levels had all soared to star level 9. After fighting in the virtual universe for a year, they were all sick of it. They discussed and decided to go out and have a real fight. Lu Ziqing immediately agreed and decided to go out and train with them. Your Majesty wants to go out and train. Naturally, there won't be a problem. Qi Yu and Lan Ling exchanged glances and nodded. Please wait a moment, Your Majesty. We'll immediately prepare a training ground for you. Taking out a smart terminal, Qi Yu made some gestures on it and pulled out a screen. On it displayed all sorts of training worlds. Blurred together, tens of thousands of training worlds were displayed before Lu Ziqing. It made his eyes go dizzy. Your Majesty, I've searched for suitable training places and found that this one fits your requirements. After which, Qi Yu opened the smart terminal and displayed a desolate planet. Your Majesty, this is a training planet under the Virtual Universe Company, Dragon Pagoda Planet. Waving his hand, the planet's introduction appeared before Lu Ziqing. Dragon Pagoda Planet, an ancient planet nurtured in the absolute beginning region. Over countless years, under the thick universe origin fog, this planet has produced all sorts of powerful dragon races. On the screen, huge western dragons spread their wings and soared through the skies. There were thunder dragons with lightning flashing all over, earth dragons rampaging on the ground, fire dragons spitting flames. All sorts of dragon beasts were everywhere. Your Majesty, the strongest of the dragon beasts on Dragon Pagoda Planet are comparable to Sector Lord Pinnacle, and the weakest are at the universe level. It fits your current training needs. Chiwa introduced them to Lu Ziqing with a smile. Dragon slaying? This is very interesting. The dragons on Dragon Pagoda Planet ranged from universe level to sector lord level. There were many types and many challenges. It was indeed suitable for Lu Ziqing to train. As for Luo Feng and the other two, they were also suitable for training on the Dragon Pagoda Star. That's right, it's here. Lu Ziqing nodded his head and confirmed the place for training. Big brother, second brother, Luo Feng, let's go slay the dragon. When Yue and Lan Ling went to prepare the things they needed for the experience, Lu Ziqing called Luo Feng and the other two over. Dragon Pagoda Planet? Dragon slaying? Seeing the information on the display screen, Luo Feng and the other two's eyes lit up. Not bad, this place is just right. There were all kinds of dragons, ranging from weak to strong. It was very challenging. Do you want to catch a dragon? By the way, dragon knights seem to be very cool. Hong raised his spear, as if he had transformed into a dragon knight, galloping through the heavens and earth, sweeping across the battlefield. His potential is too low. Thunder God shook his head. Once you reach Sector Lord Pinnacle, you won't be able to improve any further. If it can't even become undying, what's the use of it? Hearing this, the others' mouths twitched, speechless for a while. Second brother, you've only had a few good days? You've forgotten your roots? You even look down on Sector Lords? Think about it. According to the ratio, the entire Milky Way galaxy doesn't even have a single Sector Lord. Han glanced at Thunder God and shook his head. It's all that brat Xing He's fault. Thunder God rolled his eyes gloomily. Isn't it, because even the people pouring tea here are Sector Lords, giving me the misconception that Sector Lords are worthless? Ha ha ha. Everyone burst into laughter. Your Majesty, everything is ready. We can leave any time. At this time, Maid Lan Ling came to report. Everything is ready? Then let's go. Lu Ziqing waved his hand and brought everyone out of the room. Your Majesty, this is Lord Yu Yan's battleship, Yuhua. We will be taking it to Dragon Pagoda Planet. Lan Ling brought Lu Ziqing and the rest to the outside of the palace, deep into the ocean. At this time, there was a huge battleship docked in the ocean. The entire battleship was like a huge flower bud, with a diameter of over 10,000 kilometers. All right, Tycoon, I won't explain. Looking at the battleship, Luo Feng and the other two shrugged and followed Lu Ziqing into the battleship. Half of the 100,000 guards are here. There were also 5 immortal rank guard captains and 2 undying emperors, Lan Ling and Qi Yu. Am I going to train? Or conquer Dragon Pagoda Planet? After boarding the battleship and seeing the group of beauties, Lu Ziqing was obviously stunned. Your Majesty, don't worry. Unless your life is in danger, we won't interfere with your training. Lan Ling was very good at reading people's expressions, immediately understanding Lu Ziqing's thoughts, and hurriedly explained. All right, Lu Ziqing nodded. He had no choice but to accept the idea of bringing an army to train. Rumble. The battleship rose into the air, quickly breaking through light speed and entering the dark universe space, undergoing space transition. This is a Universe Night level battleship. Luo Feng. This is a Universe Night level battleship. Its attack and defense are equivalent to a Universe Night. It's too rich. Babata, as usual, exclaimed in shock. Luo Feng was already used to it. To be friends with rich people, one needed a strong heart. The Yuhua battleship was extremely fast. Not long after, when the battleship returned from the dark universe space, Lu Ziqing and the others could already see a huge green planet on the holographic projection. This planet was extremely huge, tens of thousands of times larger than Earth. Looking from afar, the huge green planet was filled with dense forests and towering mountains. Rumble. The battleship broke through the light green atmosphere of Dragon Pagoda Planet and landed on a huge grassland on the planet. Ayo, ayo, ayo. Countless herbivorous dragons were frightened by this huge object that descended from the sky, screaming and fleeing in panic. It looks a bit like a dinosaur. The cabin door opened, and Lu Ziqing and the others jumped out of the battleship and landed on the grassland. Looking at the fleeing dragons, They smiled and nodded. Dinosaurs are also a type of dragon, right? Hong grabbed the spear in his hand, his face full of eagerness. Where there are herbivorous dragons, there will definitely be carnivorous dragons. We can have a good battle here. Your Majesty, your intelligent wristwatches are already connected to the Yuhua battleship. It can scan and search for dragons, and it can also identify the type and level of the dragons. Chi reminded him and bowed. Have a good hunt. All right. Training had turned into a hunt? Lu Ziqing shrugged. With his current identity, there wouldn't be many chances for him to take risks in the future. Chapter 987. Deinonychus. Universe level, normally 5 to 10 live in groups. Following a river on the grassland, they passed through the grassland and arrived at a small hill. The group discovered a group of dragon beasts suitable for fighting. A total of 6 dragon beasts. They looked similar to Earth's velociraptors. However, the 2 front claws of the Deinonychus were huge and malevolent. The 3 huge claws were 2 m long, like huge scimitars. Let's practice on these guys first. Even though the group was confident in their own strength, they were still unfamiliar with the dragon beasts. Hence, it was better to be cautious. I'll lure 3 away. The 3 of you deal with 1 each. Lu Ziqing was already a universe level 9, much stronger than these universe level 3 and 4 Deinonychus. Hence, dealing with 3 of them wasn't a problem. However, Luo Feng and the other 2 were only star level 9. There was still a gap between them and the Deinonychus. They had to be cautious and familiarize themselves with the situation first. Leaping up, Lu Ziqing waved his hand and released the purpling sword. A purple light whizzed out and slashed at the 3 Deinonychus on the left. With a twirl of the blade, the 3 heads fell to the ground. Damn, Qinghe, are you trying to show off? You must be trying to show off, right? Seeing Lu Ziqing slashing down 3 Deinonychus, Luo Feng and the other 2 curled their lips and waved their blades at the remaining 3. I'm this strong. Lu Ziqing was stunned as well, somewhat dumbfounded. That slash was only meant to lure the 3 Deinonychus over. He didn't even use his full strength. Yet, he managed to slay 3 of them so easily. This is the purple-green twin blades. Whichever level you reach, the purple-green twin blades will be unsealed to that level. Right now, the purple-green twin blades are already at the pinnacle of the universe level. At the same level, what can block a single slash from the purple-green twin blades? The purple-gold gourd laughed as it explained. What's more, you have the power of laws within you. How can a normal universe level compare to you? All right. Lu Ziqing shrugged his shoulders and spread his hands. I'm too strong. There's nothing I can do. Luo Feng and the other 2 were busy fighting the Deinonychus, while Lu Ziqing was actually free. You guys have fun. I'll go take a look. The universe-level dragon beasts were no longer a challenge. Lu Ziqing opened his watch and searched for higher-level dragon beasts nearby. Iron-armored earth dragon, domain master level. He's a good target for practice. Lu Ziqing sped in the direction of the ironclad land dragon. A moment later, Lu Ziqing saw a 5-story-tall black beast. An area master level dragon beast? Perfect. I'll use you to test my sword. Taking to the air, Lu Ziqing extended a finger, and the Zi-Ing sword turned into a violet streak of light, slashing toward the dragon. Clang! The sword landed on the neck of the ironclad land dragon, and a burst of sparks erupted. The sound of metal striking metal could be heard. Roar! The iron-armored land dragon, which was dozing off in the valley, was instantly awakened. It let out an angry roar, and a black light wave swept out. Boom! It was as if gravity had suddenly increased by countless times. Under the spread of this black light, the mountains in front of them instantly collapsed, and even the ground collapsed. Gravity god art? Lu Ziqing was shocked. He hurriedly flew up on his sword and dodged the attack. Roar! Failing to hit its target, the ironclad land dragon let out another roar. A mighty sound wave rippled out. The violent vibrations shattered everything. Under the sweeping sound wave, one hill after another was shaken to dust. The might of an area master is truly terrifying. Lu Ziqing himself had the thunderclap's sword sound wave attack, so how could he not see its power? Fortunately, Lu Ziqing's current speed had long surpassed the speed of sound. Flying on his sword, he dodged the attack. As expected, no enemy can be underestimated. Although draconic beasts were just wild beasts with low intelligence, an area master level draconic beast was still quite powerful. 2 consecutive moves had forced Lu Ziqing to dodge, which was a testament to the dragon's strength. You really can't be underestimated. Then take a move from me too. With a wave of his hand, the Zing's sword landed in his hand. Drawing an arc with the sword, he waved his hand and a sword energy soared into the sky. As the sword energy shot out, it suddenly turned into leaves. Endless leaves rustled down. The leaves drifted down with the wind as if they were light and powerless. However, when the leaves drifted to the side of the iron-armored land dragon, they suddenly exploded with endless sharpness. Xiao xiao xiao. The fallen leaves exploded with incomparably sharp sword chi, tearing through the sky and slicing horizontally. Xiao xiao, like grinding metal, the sword energy swirled around the iron-armored land dragon and caused countless sparks to fly. Ayo, ayo! The sword energy spun faster and faster. In an instant, the iron-armored land dragon's body exploded with bloody light as its flesh splattered everywhere. In just a moment, the powerful iron-armored land dragon was cut to pieces by the sword energy, leaving behind only a skeleton. With a boom, the skeleton fell to the ground. The iron-armored land dragon had been slain in one strike. It's actually this powerful? Lu Ziqing felt somewhat surprised himself. He had used the fallen leaf sword art of the Greenwood Muddy Sky technique that Greenwood had taught him. The first time he used this move, Lu Ziqing discovered that its power exceeded his expectations. The laws are compatible, so it's naturally powerful. Your attack just now contained the laws of metal, wind, wood, and space. It's not much weaker than an ordinary Sector Lord's attack. Indeed, Lu Ziqing nodded. And here I thought the Greenwood Muddy Sky technique was just average. I didn't expect its power to be so good. Qinghe, quickly come over. We've met with trouble. At this time, Lu Ziqing suddenly heard Hong's voice from his watch. Trouble? Did they meet a dragon beast they can't deal with? Using the watch, Lu Ziqing raised his blade and rushed towards Luo Feng's location. It's not a dragon beast. It's a human? Lu Ziqing, who had rushed over suddenly, discovered that Luo Feng and the other 2 were surrounded by a group of people. What's going on? Lu Ziqing pressed down his blade and landed beside them. He looked up at the group of people. He discovered that they were all above the universe level, and there were even a few domain lords. The leader was also a sector lord. The leader was a wolf man with a wolf tail, 2 wolf ears, and a few fangs sticking out his mouth. 1 universe level, 3 star levels. Which family did you enter through the back door? The wolf man glanced at Lu Ziqing and the others, waving his hand in disdain. This is our training grounds, not a place you can enter. Scram. HM. Hearing this, Lu Ziqing raised his eyebrows. Your training ground? Dragon Pagoda Planet is the training grounds of the Virtual Universe Company, and now it's yours? Oomph. You small families are so ignorant. The wolf man pointed at the badge on his chest and laughed coldly. Do you see that? That's the Virtual Universe Company's logo. We are the underlings of the Devil Mastiff Emperor. Have you heard of the Devil Mastiff Emperor? That's an undying emperor. For such a small family to have an undying is already impressive. Why? You dare offend an underling of an undying emperor. Is an undying emperor that impressive? Lu Ziqing laughed loudly, his face full of disdain as he shook his head. My servants are all undying emperors. Chapter 988. Bastard, you dare insult Devil Monkey Emperor? Hearing Lu Ziqing's words, the wolfman was furious. He waved his hand and grabbed a huge stick, pointing it at Lu Ziqing and roaring in rage. How can you offend the dignity of an undying emperor? How dare you? How dare you be so rude? Not only was the werewolf furious, But the group of people he had brought with him were also filled with righteous indignation. In their hearts, the Undying was already a high and mighty god. What's more, an undying emperor with the title of emperor. That was already a being they worshipped. They didn't dare offend. Hearing Lu Ziqing say, "My maids are all undying emperors," how could they not be furious? "Punk, kneel, kowtow, and apologize." The wolfman roared in rage, offending the dignity of an undying emperor. Your sin is unforgivable. However, if you kowtow and apologize, your family can still avoid destruction. Crazy. Lu Ziqing waved his hand in disdain, saying to his watch, "Lan Ling, what's going on? Why are all these random people here?" "Your Majesty, please forgive me." A light flashed, and Lan Ling's silhouette instantly appeared before Lu Ziqing. The moment she appeared, she immediately bowed and apologized to Lu Ziqing. "Your Majesty, it's my negligence. I didn't inform the Virtual Universe Company, and they actually let people in. All right, I'll leave this matter to you." Waving his hand, Lu Ziqing glanced at the wolfman, curling his lips in disdain. You are." Seeing Lan Ling suddenly appear, the wolfman was after all a sector lord. Naturally, he could feel her energy. That vast power that covered the land and skies was even more vast and deep than the space. It was unimaginably huge. That graceful silhouette was almost like an endless universe, almost like the entire land and skies were gathered on her. Everything in the land and skies revolved around her, moving according to her will. This was an undying emperor. The wolfman's face was pale, he was sweating profusely, and his legs were weak. An immortal king was summoned here immediately, and he was even begging for forgiveness in front of this young man. Who exactly was this young man? This time, he had really offended someone with an unimaginable background. "My name is Lan Ling. I am His Highness's maid." Lan Ling glanced at Werewolf and the others with a cold expression. "You might not be familiar with the name Lan Ling. I also have a title called Blood Plume King. I'm sure you've heard of it before." The werewolf was so shocked that his face turned pale, and he fell to the ground on his butt. Blood Plume King was a legend in the foreign battlefield back then. Wielding a feather-like longsword, he charged into the insectoid army single-handedly, killing through 100,000 Undyings and 1,000,000 Sector Lord Bug army, killing an Undying Emperor-level Bug Clan Queen. A great battle ensued. Corpses littered the ground, blood flowed like a river, and Lan Ling's feather sword was dyed red. Being crowned a king in a single battle, his prestige soared to the skies. This was the origin of the name Blood Plume King. However, such a ferocious and terrifying existence was actually just that young man's maid. No wonder he did not care about the Devil Monkey King, because, in his eyes, the Devil Monkey King was not even comparable to his maid. I'm sorry. We were too rash. Offending His Highness was a capital offense. A capital offense." Werewolf was sweating profusely, immediately kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. "Your Highness, spare us. Your Highness, spare us." At this time, the group of people led by Werewolf had recovered from their shock, constantly kowtowing and begging for mercy. "I suddenly have a feeling of being a bully." Lu Ziqing laughed. "However, this feeling is great." Glancing at Werewolf, Lu Ziqing waved his hand. "All right, I'll teach you all a lesson. Everyone, slap yourselves 10 times. Yes. Thank you, Your Highness, for your magnanimity." Werewolf and the others were like they had been pardoned, immediately slapping themselves a dozen times. Every slap was hard. Even their faces were swollen, blood dripping from their mouths. Your attitude of admitting your mistakes is still decent. I'll let this matter go. However, you all must remember, Lu Ziqing lectured them seriously, you all must exercise restraint in the future. Don't be so arrogant. You have to know, there are many beings in this world that you cannot afford to offend. The Immortal King is really nothing. Even the World Lord is not an invincible being. Yes, we will definitely remember your teachings and not make any mistakes. Werewolf and the others quickly bowed and accepted the lesson. "You may leave." Lu Ziqing waved his hand. "Yes, we'll take our leave." After bowing, the werewolf led his subordinates and fled in a sorry state, disappearing without a trace in an instant. "Your Highness is so kind." Lanling glanced at the direction where werewolf left and said lightly, "Offending the young lord of Dichio. Only a few slaps. That's the lightest punishment." "Eh? That's considered light?" Lu Ziqing suddenly realized that he was still very far away from being a real tyrannical and lawless second generation. "Your Highness Qinghe is mighty." Luo Feng and the other two gave him a thumbs up. "Ha ha!" Lu Ziqing laughed, then shook his head. "I finally understand why so many people like power and influence. Power and wealth, after all, are only external things. Qinghe, don't be greedy for power and forget about your own roots." Hong looked up at Lu Ziqing and said seriously, "What boss said is true." God of Thunder also looked at Lu Ziqing solemnly. "When we were on Earth, each of us was equivalent to a country. Wasn't that great power and influence? However, we never cared about power and influence. Your own strength is the foundation. Remember this point. Don't forget. Thank you for your teachings, brothers. Understand." Lu Ziqing nodded seriously. Glory and wealth were just illusions. One's own cultivation was the foundation of everything. This point, Lu Ziqing had already understood on the day he became a warrior. At this moment, as the young lord of Dichio, the only direct descendant of the Qingtian clan, Lu Ziqing could be said to be monstrous. Even if he poked a hole in the sky, there would be someone to help him carry it. However, all of this was just an illusion. The reason why the bloodline of Dichio was so superior was that it had extraordinary potential to grow into a universe knight, the top figure in the human alliance. Otherwise, why would Lan Ling, the Blood Plume King, be willing to be his maid and even warm his bed without any problem? It was because the bloodline of Dichio could grow into the backbone of the human alliance. This was the key reason why everyone regarded Qinghe as a treasure. "Let's go. Let's continue our training. Let's go and slay the dragon." With a loud roar, Lu Ziqing, Luo Feng, and the other two leaped up and continued to go deep into the wilderness, continuing their great undertaking of slaying the dragon. "Your Highness, these friends of yours are all extraordinary in their own ways. They are tenacious, determined, and have mastered the domain. Sure enough, dragons don't swim with fishes and shrimps. Your Highness's friends are all geniuses too. Of course, Your Highness is the most powerful." Lan Ling looked at Lu Ziqing's back with a smile, thinking of what Yi Yin once said. The next mistress of the Qingtian clan? Lan Ling's face blushed shyly. Chapter 989. Ao! A massive dragon's roar sounded out as a 100-meter-long golden dragon descended from the sky. Holding a spear in his hand, Hong jumped down from the back of the golden dragon while laughing heartily. A year had passed, and Hong had finally fulfilled his wish to become a dragon knight. Just a young dragon. What's there to be proud of? Thunder God turned his head away, as though he couldn't bear to see Hong showing off. "Huh, isn't it because you didn't catch one? Are you jealous? Second brother, do you want us to catch one for you?" Hong laughed as he walked over and patted Thunder God's shoulder, his face full of sympathy. "Don't be funny. I really don't have any intentions of becoming a dragon knight." Thunder God laughed and shook his head. "Big brother, second brother, Luo Feng, come and take a look. The Universe Genius Competition. Big news." At this time, Lu Ziqing popped his head out from the cabin door and waved at the three. "Universe Genius Competition?" Hearing this news, the three hurriedly stood up and boarded the battleship. In the command room of the ship, on a huge projection, the news of the Universe Genius Competition was displayed. A huge black board hung high up. On top of it were huge words shining brightly. Universe Human Genius Competition. The pinnacle battle is about to begin. Once every 10,000 years. An unprecedented occasion. Are you an absolute genius? Are you already invincible within the same level? Can't you find an opponent? Let's participate in the genius competition then. The war drums have been sounded. Billions of geniuses gathered. Who will be number one? The moment this board was out, all the geniuses of the human countries and races in the universe would have a pinnacle battle. Good, good. The gathering of geniuses, it's time for us to show off our skills. Hong raised his spear and shouted towards the sky. How can we miss out on the genius competition? Thunder God's eyes lit up as he puffed out his chest. Competing with billions of geniuses, I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Luo Feng clenched his fist tightly. A pity. I can't join. Lu Ziqing shook his head helplessly. The genius competition is only for star levels. And I am already a universe level. Huh? Are you stupid now? Who told you to advance so quickly? Seeing Lu Ziqing's gloomy face, the three of them rudely rubbed salt on his wound. Stop fooling around. Lu Ziqing shook his head and looked at the three of them with a serious expression. Let me tell you the inside story. This Universe Genius Contest was organized by the Virtual Universe Company. If you can get good results in the competition, you'll become the main nurturing target of the Virtual Universe Company. Virtual Universe Company. Hearing this news, Luo Feng and the other two were shocked. The Virtual Universe Company was one of the giants of the human universe. This wasn't just the leader of a country or a galaxy, but the leader of the entire human race in the universe. The moment you become the key nurturing targets of the Virtual Universe Company, from now on, you will all be majesties. Lu Ziqing chuckled. You know what? The top 1,000 of the genius competition would all be able to enter Primal Chaos City to cultivate. The strongest inherited cultivation method of the entire human race was there. There was a primordial universe where it was easiest to comprehend the laws. Therefore, you must do your best in this competition. And you must fight for it. Luo Feng and the other two glanced at each other and became even more determined to win. The competition is about to begin. Let's head back first. They had trained on Dragon Pagoda Planet for a year. Those they could beat had been beaten. Those they couldn't beat, they wouldn't be able to in a short period of time. This time's training had basically come to an end. The ship rumbled and rushed back. Not long after, they reached Qing He Planet and landed on the surface of the ocean outside the palace. Qing He, let's go register for the competition. After alighting from the ship, Luo Feng and the other two hurriedly bid farewell and went to register for the Universe Genius Contest. Fighting against the Universe Geniuses, actually, I'm interested too. Lu Ziqing looked at the leaving silhouettes of Luo Feng and the other two, suddenly feeling an urge to give it a try. Your Majesty, you don't even need to pass the competition. You could go straight to Primal Chaos City to train. You don't need to fight with them for the top 1,000 spots. Lan Ling smiled and explained. Your Majesty, if you wish to fight against the universe geniuses, other than the star-level competition, there's also a universe-level competition. Qiyue chimed in. Although there are still more than 1,000 years until the next tournament of Strong. However, we can also hold it in advance. Your Majesty, do you need me to inform Lord Qing Mu and Lord Yu Yan that we'll hold the competition in advance? Huh? Lu Ziqing was stunned. This works too? I want to have a duel with someone, and then you hold a tournament of the strong for me? Then if I want to kill people and set fires, you guys will destroy cities and countries. No need. No need. So many people were gathered to hold a competition for the best. Just because I want to fight? Isn't this too much of a joke? If the experts participating in the competition knew the reason, would they vomit blood? Lu Ziqing felt that he was still far from the standard of a rich playboy. Why would they not have the heart to do something like this that would harm the world? But Qing Mu and Yu Yan, how could they be so capable? That Dichio Qingtian clan, what's their background? Lu Ziqing felt that this Dichio Qingtian clan was like an ancient emperor. They could do whatever they wanted. Your Majesty hasn't returned to Dichio. It's not strange that you don't know much about the Qingtian clan. Lan Ling smiled and explained to Lu Ziqing. Your Majesty, Lord Qing Mu and Lord Yu Yan, other than being Universe Knights, they also control the Universe Bank. Universe Bank? Lu Ziqing was so shocked that he almost jumped up. What the hell? So the Universe Bank belongs to the Qing Mu family. Virtual Universe Company, Huge Axe Arena, Universe Mercenary Alliance, Universe Bank, these are the biggest giants in the human world. In terms of power, Huge Axe Arena was number 1, Virtual Universe Company was number 2, and Mercenary Alliance was number 3. Universe Bank was only number 4. But in terms of money, it was needless to say. So, the Qing Mu family is so rich. Lu Ziqing naturally knew how terrifying the power of capital was. No wonder they could casually say, hold a competition for the best. There was nothing else, they had money. Luckily, I'm a good young man with good values. If I was more playboy, I could really bring disaster to the world. Lu Ziqing smiled and shook his head. He had a clear understanding of the terrifying power of the Qing Mu family. That guy was the biggest tycoon in the entire universe. He really had the ability to use money to kill others. Glory, splendor, wealth, and rank are as transient as smoke. Glory, splendor, wealth, and rank are as transient as smoke. Even with Lu Ziqing's temperament, he had to take a deep breath and calm himself down before he could break free from such power. Chapter 990. Strength is the foundation. After meditating for an entire night in the Green River Palace, the sword of heart cleansing had cleansed his mind and spirit. Lu Ziqing had returned to the state of being calm and unrestrained. Everything is in vain. Everything is shackles. Mortal power, mortal riches, they are all fleeting clouds. His mind was clear, free, and unfettered from the mortal world lingering. At this moment, Lu Ziqing had truly seen through power and riches. Towards the universe's biggest nouveau riche, he could no longer be bothered. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Lan Ling, who had entered to deliver breakfast, naturally saw through Lu Ziqing's state. Towards this young majesty, Lan Ling was filled with admiration. Under such immense power, he was still able to keep his mind pure and unfettered, untainted by the mortal world. Using the word exceptional wasn't enough to describe him. Actually, Lu Ziqing, who had always been training the purple-green treasure book, had already built a solid foundation for his mind and energy training from the start. Sword heart and sword intent were one of the foundations of sword training. For Lu Ziqing to have such a state of mind and energy other than his own hard work, it naturally couldn't be separated from the golden finger. The Dichio bloodline will definitely give birth to an exceptional character. Lan Ling was filled with admiration. To have such achievements at such a young age, how far would His Majesty go in the future? Universe Knight? Universe Master? Or even the legendary True God? Lan Ling suddenly felt lucky. Lucky Yin had chosen her. Otherwise, how would she have had the chance to grow with His Majesty? How would she have had the chance to spend so much time with him? Lan Ling, activate the virtual training ground. After finishing breakfast, Lu Ziqing stood up and looked towards Lan Ling. Everyone in the Green River Palace, take turns entering the training ground. I want to battle with you all. Your Majesty's fighting spirit has been aroused by the genius competition? Lan Ling smiled. Everyone in the palace is an elite that has been through many battles. Even if the training level is limited to the universe level, Your Majesty still can't be careless. Bring on. Lu Ziqing laughed loudly, his spirit reaching the clouds. The Green River Palace had all sorts of training facilities. Naturally, there was a virtual training ground. Other than the guards on duty in the palace, Lu Ziqing ordered everyone to enter the virtual training ground. Very similar to the virtual universe, this virtual training ground was also a virtual environment where one's soul consciousness would enter. Because there were many spectators, Lu Ziqing opened an arena that was similar to the ancient Roman dueling ground. In the middle was a circular arena, surrounded by countless spectator seats. At this moment, Lu Ziqing was fighting with Lan Ling in the arena. The other maidservants and guards were watching from the spectator stands. Your Highness, it's not a wise choice for you to pick me as the first opponent. Lan Ling smiled sweetly and walked up. A feather-like blue-gold long sword appeared in her hand. Even though my strength is limited to the universe level, however, my law comprehension and control are all at the undying emperor level. Invincible in the same realm? Do you think I was joking? Lu Zicheng grinned, and the virtual purple and green twin swords whistled through the air. Bring it on. Invincible in the same realm doesn't refer to this. Lan Ling smiled and raised a feathery long sword in her hand. Then your highness must be careful. Blood feather absolute kill blade. The feathery long sword shook violently. Lan Ling leapt up and waved her sword. On the blue-gold feathery long sword, thin needle-like feathers suddenly shot out, like a storm covering the skies. The fine feather needles transformed into numerous golden threads that whistled through the air and weaved into the shape of a blue-gold lawn phoenix in midair. It was extremely lifelike and lifelike. Even though Lan Ling's strength was limited to the universe level, her law comprehension and control were all at the undying emperor level. In essence, she had already surpassed the universe level. Lan Ling is actually so heavy-handed. In the spectator stands, the group of maidservants and guards watching the battle were all shocked. Especially Qiyu. She was already frowning. Even though your highness' talent is exceptional, your law comprehension is still far from Lan Ling's. Lan Ling is so heavy-handed. If it affects your confidence, it won't be good. Just as she was about to intervene, Qiyu suddenly saw the purple and green twin swords in Lu Zicheng's hands burst out a beautiful blade light, forming a huge lotus. Law energy, blade, energy lotus? Good, good. The moment the sword lotus appeared, even Qiyu couldn't help but cheer loudly. Indeed, the Di Qiu bloodline. To have such strength at the universe level, your highness is indeed exceptional. Good. The maids and guards who were watching the battle cheered loudly at the same time. Ding, ding, ding. The blue-gold wand phoenix soared gracefully. The purple and green sword lotus bloomed. Rays of blade light clashed, producing a dense buzz. In an instant, the sword lotus wand phoenix clashed back and forth. Both were actually equally matched. Your highness sword techniques are extraordinary. Your law comprehension is also so adept. How shocking. Lan Ling smiled sweetly. Your highness, Lan Ling is going to use her true abilities. Your highness must be careful. I also have my true abilities that I haven't shown yet. Lu Zicheng chuckled. The long sword in his hand flew out and began to spin. Come on then, let me show you my strongest sword technique. Your highness is in such a mood. Lan Ling will naturally accompany you. The blue-gold feather shook. The extremely sharp golden energy soared up with a vast water light. This was a blood-colored water light, like a blood sea. The sky, filled with ferocity, rushed up. Blood sea red feather sword. With a slash, the blade light was like a sea of blood. Endless ferocity rushed up to the sky. This was an exceptional sword technique that Lan Ling had created when she fought alone in the Outer Region Wars, breaking through a million army formation, killing the bug race, Undying King. Even though the strength was limited to the universe level, the concept of this technique was not reduced at all. Annihilation, the will to destroy heaven and earth, it was not something a universe level could withstand. Damn it, what is Lan Ling doing? When the sword slashed out, all the maids and guards who were watching the battle were stunned. If they didn't know that this was a virtual battle, they would have thought that Lan Ling was trying to assassinate Her Majesty. The power is indeed terrifying. However, the path of this slash is wrong. After stepping through Fantasy Ocean's 21 islands, Lu Zicheng's mental state had already surpassed Undying King's. Naturally, he could see that Lan Ling's ferocious slash had actually taken the wrong path. My will is free. My heart is unrestrained. Heart like a mirror. One slash cleanses the heart. Lan Ling, take my green lotus heart cleansing blade. A green rainbow rushed into the sky. Lu Zicheng faced the sea of blood and slashed out. Like splitting the waves, this green rainbow actually split apart the sea of blood. The green rainbow, like blades, slashed apart the sea of blood, slashing into Lan Ling's heart. A green lotus bloomed within her mind. The pure blade light cleansed her heart, washing away the fear within her. Right, that sky filled with blood, the powerful slash was actually fear. One man, one sword, killing through the army formation, killing the enemy leader. Lan Ling seemed to be in a glorious position, but in reality, she was trapped in the enemy's formation, isolated and without help. The battle to survive in a desperate situation had left a deep fear in her heart. One slash cleansed the heart. The green lotus bloomed. The green light lingered, like clear water, washing away the demons in Lan Ling's heart. Dang! The blue-gold feather blade in her hand fell to the ground. Lan Ling's face was relaxed as she bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Your Majesty is invincible." Lan Ling admits defeat. Wah! Her Majesty won. Her Majesty is invincible. The audience all around cheered. Ha ha ha! Lu Ziqing laughed loudly, raising his sword and pointing at the audience. "All of you, come at me together." After which, Lu Ziqing's head was filled with bumps. The plan to sweep through 100,000 palace members, it seemed like it wouldn't be completed in a short time. Chapter 991. Lu Ziqing continued to sweep through the 100,000 harems. Luo Feng, Thunder God, and Hong all stepped onto their own path of conquest. Luo Feng, the Ganwu Universe country's #1 genius. The elimination competition has ended. The Ganwu Universe country has chosen 10 absolute geniuses. They will represent our Ganwu Universe country and participate in the Human Alliance's final genius showdown. Ganwu Universe's #1 genius Luo Feng. 9th Hong, 10th Thunder God. That day, Lu Ziqing was once again pushed back by the 100,000 harems. He left the virtual training grounds gloomily, suddenly seeing the news on the screen. Not bad. They've all gotten good results. The Ganwu Universe country's top 10 already had the right to participate in the finals. Lu Ziqing smiled as he dialed the communicator of the three of them and received a group chat. "Congratulations. Congratulations on getting good results." Lu Ziqing sent his congratulations to the three of them. "Qinghe, thank you so much. If it wasn't for the techniques and treasures you provided, how could we have gotten to this step?" The three of them thanked Lu Ziqing together. "We're brothers. Why are you saying all this? Don't treat me like an outsider." Lu Ziqing smiled and shook his head. "Right. 3 days later, the Ganwu Empire will be holding a celebration for you. They've also invited me. Let's meet again then." "All right. We'll wait for you on the Ganwu planet." After chatting for a while, Lu Ziqing hung up. "Your Majesty, did you come up with any new moves today?" At this time, Qi walked in, seemingly smiling at Lu Ziqing. "Your Majesty, a one-on-one battle and an army formation are two different things. A 100,000 army formation, their strength combined is one. This isn't something that can be easily broken through. Don't be arrogant. I'll beat you all to the ground." Lu Ziqing didn't back down and roared loudly. After that nonsense, Qiyu's face flushed red. She turned and ran out. Lu Ziqing was stunned. Only then did he realize that beat them to the ground seemed to have some meaning. The purple gold gourd was rolling around in Lu Ziqing's mind, laughing. Lu Ziqing was speechless. "Brat, you're someone who has practiced a few sword formations. Do you only want to fight head-on to break through an army formation?" During this period of time, Lu Ziqing's plan to sweep through the harem of 100,000 was progressing very slowly. Although it lasted longer and longer, it was ultimately defeated by the army of 100,000. "Senior Ziqing, I feel that what I lack is the strength to attack. If we use tricks to break this formation, we won't be able to train." Lu Ziqing shook his head. In this short period of time, Lu Ziqing had been fighting against the 100,000 Imperial Harem army. Naturally, he had long seen through the operation of this army formation. If he attacked the nodes of the army formation, he could indeed break it quickly. But what about other types of military formations in the future? Since he couldn't see through the operation of this formation, how could he break it? Therefore, Lu Ziqing planned to use Lanling to break through the insectoid army's formation with brute force. That's right. This old man is gratified that you have such an understanding. The purple-gold gourd laughed heartily. Brat, breaking the formation by force doesn't mean that your strength is greater than the strength of 100,000 people combined. As long as you concentrate your strength on one point and break the defense of that point, it'll be fine. I know this principle, but unfortunately, I can't do it yet. Lu Ziqing shook his head helplessly. Idiot, you've mastered Sword Chi Thunderous and Sword Light Division of your Mount Shu sword technique. Have you forgotten Sword Chi Thread? That's right. Lu Ziqing slapped his head. After my sword technique returned to its original state, I can already practice the Sword Chi Thread sword technique. The sword chi all over his body turned into an extremely fine thread, finding a gap in the void and finding a gap in the void. There was nothing that was completely without a gap. There were gaps between cells and between molecules. The extremely fine sword thread directly cut into the molecular level, decomposing and annihilating matter from the molecular gaps. This was how one sword could break all laws. This was what it meant to cut through everything and break everything. All right, in this very scientific world, Lu Ziqing's use of scientific principles to understand nothing can't be cut seemed to make sense. It really did make sense. His Majesty Emperor, you said to this question, my cultivation method is applicable everywhere. It was in accordance with the laws of heaven and earth in any world. Very good. Wait until I master the Sword Chi Thread technique, then I'll deal with these guys. With an idea in mind, Lu Ziqing felt that his magnificent feat of conquering 100,000 harem was about to become a reality. 3 days passed quickly. Your Majesty, we're going to the Ganwu Empire to participate in the celebration feast. Lu Ziqing focused on practicing the Sword Chi Thread technique. 3 days passed quickly. On the morning of the third day, Lanling walked into the room and reminded Lu Ziqing. Is a celebration feast about to begin? Lu Ziqing smiled and stood up. Luo Feng and the other two have achieved good results. Naturally, I have to congratulate them. He walked out of the room and boarded the battleship. Lu Ziqing led another army and rushed towards the capital of the Ganwu Empire. Jumping out from the dark universe, thousands of giant planets appeared in front of them. This was an artificially created galaxy. Thousands of life planets, like a starry sky formation, were spread out in the starry sky. This was the capital of the Ganwu Empire. A high-level universe country, it's really something. Looking at the formation set up on this planet, Lu Ziqing nodded in admiration. This is nothing. Your Majesty, Dichio Galaxy is more than 10,000 times stronger than here. Chiyue pouted in disdain. All right, Lu Ziqing still hadn't adapted to the world of the rich. Shrugging his shoulders, Lu Ziqing didn't continue this topic. On a giant planet in the center of the Ganwu Galaxy, in front of a giant palace built on a giant piece of land, the battleship landed slowly and stopped at the giant starry skyport. This was also a privilege that only Lu Ziqing had. Other than the Ganwu Empire's imperial spaceship, normal people didn't have the right to land near the Ganwu Palace. The Ganwu Empire is honored to have Her Majesty Qinghe here. When Lu Ziqing, accompanied by Lan Ling and Chiyue, walked out of the battleship's cabin door, a middle-aged man in luxurious clothes smiled and welcomed them. I am Qian Jing, the Crown Prince of the Ganwu Empire. The Emperor is hosting the celebration banquet. I can't welcome you personally. I hope Your Majesty Qing, he can forgive me. The Ganwu Crown Prince bowed and explained to Qinghe apologetically. You're too kind. I'm only here to observe the ceremony as an individual. I don't dare to trouble Your Majesty to welcome me personally. Lu Ziqing smiled modestly. This time, he really was here to observe the ceremony. If it weren't for Luo Feng and the other two, Lu Ziqing wouldn't have come to join the fun. Thank you for your understanding. Your Majesty, please. The Ganwu Crown Prince smiled, thinking to himself, you might be here to observe the ceremony as an individual, but who would dare to treat you as an individual? Boarding a luxurious flying car, Liu Ziqing and his group headed towards the Ganwu Palace to attend the celebration banquet. Chapter 992. In the Ganwu Grand Hall. There was still some time before the celebration banquet officially began. At this time, Luo Feng and the other two were brought to a side hall. The Emperor of the Ganwu Empire wants to see us. Luo Feng and the other two were surprised. Why did the Emperor want to see them alone when the celebration banquet was about to begin? What was the matter? The three of them who stood out in the genius competition had been in the limelight during this period. Everywhere they went, they were praised. In the Ganwu Empire, among the billions of stars, among the countless human geniuses, they were ranked in the top 10. This was a great honor. At the same time, this was also a huge problem. When the three of them kept rising in the Ganwu Empire's preliminary competition, countless families and forces sent them emails, called them, and even came knocking on their door. Luckily, the Ganwu Empire stepped in and chased these people away, allowing the three of them to participate in the competition with peace of mind. His Majesty is in the study in front. Go and greet him. A guard brought Luo Feng and the other two to the side hall. He pointed at the door in front of them and gestured to them. I wonder what it is. Their hearts filled with questions. The three of them stepped into the hall. Boom! Just as they stepped through the door, there was a loud explosion in their minds, as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. An illusion appeared before their eyes, as if countless stars were exploding in front of them. It was also as if countless galaxies were shrinking, collapsing, and being annihilated under an enormous force, destroying the sky and earth. This was truly destroying the sky and earth. Pieces of galaxies were being annihilated, the endless light of destruction annihilating everything in the world. Under this overwhelming force, Luo Feng and the other two grunted. They only felt an enormous and unimaginable force crushing down on their heads. Kiki, under this pressure, the bones in their bodies crackled, as if they would shatter into pieces at any time. They straightened their backs with difficulty and raised their heads. Cold sweat poured down like rain, their faces pale. However, under this overwhelming force, the three of them did not yield, nor did they give in at all. They would never yield. Not bad. You are indeed the ultimate geniuses of the Ganwu Empire. When blood seeped out from the corners of their mouths and their bones cracked, the overwhelming pressure instantly dissipated. The apocalyptic vision in front of them also dissipated. A valiant-looking middle-aged man in imperial robes sat on the throne. His eyes were bright as he looked at Luo Feng and the other two. This person was the Emperor of the Ganwu Empire, an immortal. Greetings, Your Majesty. Facing an undying, and one that gave them a show of strength the moment they met, Luo Feng and the other two exchanged glances and nodded, bowing towards the Ganwu Emperor. A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. Even though they didn't know what this Ganwu Emperor was planning, but he was trying to intimidate them the moment they met. He definitely wasn't calling the three of them over to reward them. You're only a star state, yet you can last more than 10 seconds under my force. That's quite impressive. No wonder you were able to get into the top 10. The Ganwu Emperor nodded. I've called you here today for only one thing. That is, this Emperor sees that you are capable, so this Emperor will give you a reward. This Emperor has 3 daughters that have yet to be married. This is a special decree to take you in as son-in-law and to grant you the title of prince. Speaking up to this point, the Ganwu Emperor gently waved his hand, kowtow, and thank me. When Luo Feng and the other two heard this, they immediately frowned. Their hearts were filled with rage. The so-called son-in-law recruitment, so-called bestowing the title of prince, was all a pretense. The goal was to take the 3 of them under his wing. The Universe Genius Competition Finals were about to begin. With Luo Feng and the other two's strength, entering the top 1,000 wasn't impossible. The moment they entered the top 1,000, they would be able to join the Virtual Universe Company, this kind of pinnacle power. Who would care about mere Ganwu Empire? This so-called gift, wasn't it just to take these 3 geniuses under his wing? In the end, we still can't escape from this kind of thing. As the three's rankings continued to rise, the various powers all had their own ideas. Luo Feng and the other two knew that this day would come. After all, the three of them were born on Earth. They didn't have any large families or powers behind them. This kind of low birth, yet talented geniuses naturally would be the targets of the various large families. No wonder the various powers all gave up. The three of them had already been chosen by the Ganwu Emperor. One could imagine the others in the top 10, if they didn't have any large families or powers behind them, they would definitely face the same situation. However, the three of them were all ambitious and proud people. How could they become the lackeys of the Ganwu Emperor? Your Majesty's good intentions. We are extremely grateful. It's just that we are completely focused on our martial arts training and don't want to be distracted by other things. We ask your Majesty to retract your orders. Luo Feng and the other two didn't hesitate to reject the Ganwu Emperor's gift. The Ganwu Emperor frowned. His powerful aura suddenly exploded. A destructive energy pressed down on the three of them. Ka-cha! Their bones exploded, cracking inch by inch. Under this powerful aura, Luo Feng and the other two had blood dripping from their mouths. They were almost crushed. Undying warriors, on the basis of a sector lord having an internal world, had trained this internal world into a god country. With rage, the god country's power exploded. This was equivalent to an entire world pressing down on the three of them. How terrifying was this power? The three of us are all participants of the Universe Genius Competition. Our identities have already been reported to the Virtual Universe Company. If your Majesty were to kill us, you wouldn't be able to answer to the company, right? Gritting his teeth, Luo Feng's mouth dripped with blood, staring coldly at the Ganwu Emperor. Kill you? Of course not. The Ganwu Emperor laughed softly and shook his head. I have done some research on the art of soul enslavement. Using the art of soul enslavement to turn the three of you into my slaves is naturally easy. Soul enslavement? The moment these words were spoken, Luo Feng and the other two's faces went pale. The Yun-Mo Planet Master had 5 undying level slaves. Luo Feng naturally wasn't unfamiliar with soul enslavement. Also, he himself had trained in the Yun-Mo Planet Master's soul enslavement techniques. Soul enslavement. This was a very special type of enslavement technique. It wouldn't affect the mind of the enslaved person, nor would it affect the enslaved person's strength. The moment the enslavement imprint melded with the mind, unless the body died and the soul was destroyed, it would never be removed. In truth, the soul enslavement technique was the Bug Clan Queen's natural ability. After it was researched by the humans, it became a technique for enslaving people. The moment someone was enslaved, they would never be able to free themselves. At this time, Luo Feng and the other two were facing the greatest danger of their lives. Chapter 993. There's a limit to the number of soul slaves. Even I can't give out too many enslavement imprints. The Ganwu Emperor smiled indifferently. His fingertips lit up with 3 spots of light. Within them, countless mysterious runes revolved, causing one's soul to tremble. The three of you have decent potential. You're worthy of me making a move. From today onwards, even if you can really stand out in the genius competition, even if you can join the Virtual Universe Company, even if your training is higher, even if your strength is stronger, you can only be my slaves. Accept your fate. In the end, this world revered strength. Geniuses like you who have no background, no great power to protect you, can only be pawns in the hands of others. Becoming my slaves, that's your fate. Here I am the heavens. I'm a supreme ruler. All of you can only obediently accept your fate. The Ganwu Emperor laughed loudly as he stood up, pointing at Luo Feng and the other two. Haha. The feeling of taking in geniuses as slaves is truly exhilarating. Cough, cough. Hong coughed out blood, struggling to straighten his chest, his face filled with mockery and cold laughter. You really think we're easy to bully? We have no power, but we have brothers. Qian Emperor, you're seeking your own death. Your Ganwu country, just wait to be destroyed. Qian Emperor, you dare bully us. Our brothers won't let you off. You have to think clearly. Don't bring trouble to the Ganwu country. Thunder God and Luo Feng both spoke out. Ha ha, what a joke. Brothers? Destroy your country? I want to see what your brothers are capable of. The Ganwu Emperor laughed madly. I'm the leader of the Ganwu country, an undying. My words carry enormous weight. No one dares to go against me. Today, no one can save you. Even if I bully you, what can you do? Who dares bully my brothers? Suddenly, a furious roar resounded. Rumble. A huge roar resounded. Bricks and stones flew in all directions. Debris flew everywhere. This huge palace was directly destroyed by a huge force. Xiao. A light flashed. 3 silhouettes landed in the palace filled with dust, blocking Luo Feng and the other 2. I am their brother. When Lu Ziqing saw the pitiful state of Luo Feng and the other 2, he flew into a rage. He pointed at the Ganwu Emperor, his eyes cold. You dare to bully my brothers. That's the same as bullying me. You? Who are you? The 3 figures that descended from the sky shocked the Ganwu Emperor. Lu Ziqing was only universe level. Naturally, he didn't mind. However, the 2 women beside him were actually immortal kings. As an immortal, how could the Ganwu Emperor not recognize the aura of the immortal king? These were the brothers of the 3 geniuses? Didn't they come from a native planet? How could there be such a terrifying brother? Big brother, second brother, Luo Feng, you've all suffered. Lu Ziqing completely ignored the Ganwu Emperor, turning to look at Luo Feng and the other 2. Qinghe, you've finally come. The god of thunder sat on the ground and grinned. This old man wants to use the soul enslavement technique to enslave us. If you don't come, we will become this old thing's slaves. What? He's actually using the soul enslavement technique to deal with you? Lu Ziqing, who had rushed over after receiving the distress signal, had originally thought that Luo Feng and the others had only been beaten up. He didn't expect them to almost be enslaved by the Ganwu Emperor. Good. Very good. Daring to enslave my brothers. Looks like there's no need for the Ganwu country to continue existing. Lu Ziqing stared coldly at the Ganwu Emperor, grinning, revealing a row of white teeth. I've never wanted to be a playboy. Actually, when I want to be a playboy, I'm more vicious than anyone else. Destroy my Ganwu country? What arrogance! The Ganwu Emperor smiled coldly at Lu Ziqing. Even though our Ganwu country is only a high-level universe country, however, we have a deep relationship with the Universe Mercenary Alliance. My nephew is the disciple of the Universe Mercenary Alliance's Black Imprint Emperor. You dare destroy my Ganwu country? The Black Imprint Emperor won't let you off? Black Imprint Emperor? He's nothing. Hearing the familiar name Black Imprint Emperor, Lu Ziqing was even more enraged. Qiyu. Lu Ziqing turned to look at Qiyu. Here. Qiyu bowed and accepted the order. Gather the army. Destroy the Ganwu country for me. Yes. Qiyu took out a command talisman with a tree pattern carved on it, pointing her finger at the command talisman. Rumble. A vast green light suddenly erupted, forming a huge tree that connected the heavens and earth. His Majesty's order. Gather the army and destroy the Ganwu country. Qiyu's voice followed the huge tree and spread to the vast universe, to the distant Di Qiu, and also to Qing Mu and Yu Yan's ears. Old bastard, someone's bullying my son. Yu Yan heard the news and immediately flew into a rage. Preposterous. Ganwu country? A small universe country dares to be so bold? Qing Mu jumped up in rage. You go gather the army. I'll go see my son first. With a flash of his body, Qing Mu instantly crossed space and rushed to Lu Ziqing's side. Go quickly, I'll be right there. Yu Yan picked up a huge stick and roared towards the sky. Where's the Qing Tian army? Your subordinate is here. The vast voice shook the heavens and earth. Someone's bullying the young master. All of you, follow me and trample the Ganwu country. Yes, your subordinate. Numerous battleships rushed into the sky and covering the earth, densely packed like stars in the sky. Rumble. Yu Yin immediately released his own world and kept the Qing Tian army, then broke through the void and teleported to Lu Ziqing's side. Wang, with a flash of green light, Qing Mu crossed the void and came to Lu Ziqing's side, asking with concern, "Son, are you okay?" "Son?" Luo Feng and the other two heard this name and looked at each other. Lu Ziqing, wasn't he an earthling? How did he become this person's son? Thinking back to the legend of the Shu Mountain swordsman, there were always stories of the reincarnation of some important person's son who was brought back by his parents. Everyone was relieved. Presumably, Lu Ziqing was the reincarnation of this important person's son? The Earthling trio was making wild guesses. The Ganwu Emperor, he was scared silly. This is Reverend Qing Mu? That young man is Reverend Qing Mu's son? Those three geniuses are the brothers of Reverend Qing Mu's son? The Ganwu Emperor was about to cry. With such a background, why didn't you say so earlier? Wasn't this a scam? Rumble. At this time, there was another intense rumble in the void. Who dares bully my son? With a furious roar, Yu Yan's silhouette crossed the void and arrived. With a wave of his hand, he released the Qing Tian army that he kept in his god country. Huge battleships, densely packed, covered the sky and covered the earth, filling up the entire capital galaxy of the Ganwu Empire. The sky was filled with battleships. Even the sun, moon, and stars were blocked out. Damn, creating such a huge commotion. Lu Ziqing himself was stunned. Was there need to play so big? When I said gather the army, I meant gathering 100,000 guards. You are all knights now, and you have battleships that cover the sky and cover the earth. Isn't this too terrifying? Spare me. Spare me. The Ganwu Emperor was already crying from fear. Chapter 994. Spare your life? You're dead. Yu Yin roared angrily. He reached out and grabbed the Ganwu Emperor. Son, I've caught him. You can kill him however you want. Hee hee. Lu Ziqing turned to look at the Ganwu Emperor, laughing coldly as the Qing sword appeared in his hand. Old man, I'm a man of my word. If I say I'll destroy your Ganwu Empire, I'll definitely destroy your Ganwu Empire. As for you, I'll send you on your way first. A green rainbow exploded as Lu Ziqing swung the Qing sword, slashing it down at the Ganwu Emperor. The poor Ganwu Emperor was caught in Yu Yan's hand, his cultivation sealed. He was no different from an ordinary person. Lu Ziqing's sword slashed down. The Ganwu Emperor, an immortal, was cut down by a sword just like that. You reap what you sow. Tossing aside the Ganwu Emperor's corpse, Yu Yan roared into the sky. Didn't you hear what the young master said? Azure Sky Army, attack. Destroy the Ganwu Empire. Yes, on the battleships that filled the sky, ferocious cannons lit up one after another, destructive light waves surging endlessly. Figures with vast auras shot out from the cabin doors of the battleships, covering the sky and covering the earth as they charged towards the Ganwu Empire's capital galaxy. Cough, cough. Qing Mu, Yu Yan, enough is enough. Don't go overboard. At this moment, there was a ripple in the void. An old man who looked similar to the Ganwu Emperor suddenly appeared in the sky above the ruins of the palace. This man was the elder ancestor of the Ganwu Empire, the Honorable Ganwu. Under the circumstances where he was in the wrong, Qing Mu and Yu Yan came knocking on his door. Although he was furious, there was nothing he could do. If an unworthy junior died, that was because he did something wrong and someone had something against him. However, if they wanted to destroy the Ganwu Empire, the Honorable Ganwu could no longer sit still. Even if he hadn't shown himself for hundreds of millions of years, ignoring the matters of the Ganwu Empire, and even the juniors thought that this elder ancestor had died long ago. However, this was his old nest after all. If he was destroyed just like that, how embarrassing would that be? Honorable Ganwu, you dare to come out? Seeing this figure, Yu Yan roared in anger, swinging his big stick, smashing it towards the Honorable Ganwu's face. Hey! Seeing this, Venerable Ganwu was angry, and depressed at the same time. As the founder of the Ganwu Empire, the ancestor of the Ganwu bloodline. How can I not come out when all of you are about to destroy my lair? Even though the reputation of the Tigress of Dichio was known throughout the universe, this evil woman was too unreasonable. Before he could even finish his sentence, he had already started fighting. Boom! With a loud explosion, Honorable Ganwu was sent flying tens of thousands of miles away. Even though they were both Universe Knights, there was still a huge difference in their abilities. Greenwood Knight was only one step away from becoming a Universe Master, so he was naturally the most powerful being among Universe Knights. As for Yu Yin, she's an evil woman who can beat Qing Mu up for fun. How weak do you think she is? Old fart. Why are you still standing there like a fool? Others have already bullied your wife and child. Can you still stand by and watch? After sending Qian Wu flying away with his stick, Yu Yin turned around and roared at Qing Mu. Aren't you the one bullying them? Qing Mu's mouth twitched as he looked at Qian Wu sympathetically. I don't want to die. Little Qian, it's not that I don't want to give you face, but that evil woman, I can't afford to offend her. With a leap, Qing Mu rushed up to the sky and a green wooden staff appeared in his hand. He smashed it towards Qian Wu Knight again. Qing Mu, are you serious? Qian Wu Knight had just taken a hit from Yu Yin, and now he was hit by Qing Mu. He was so angry that his face turned purple. Little Qian, I don't have a choice. Qing Mu smiled and shook his head. You know about my situation. I have countless children and more than 1 trillion descendants. However, there is only one who has truly inherited my bloodline. As long as my son is happy, what's the big deal about destroying your Ganwu empire? You are crazy. Your whole family is F***king crazy. Qian Wu Knight flew into a rage. He flipped his hand and picked up a serrated blade, his face filled with rage. You want to fight? You think I'm afraid of you? Actually, you are afraid. Qing Mu smirked and smashed his wooden staff down. Those who say they aren't afraid are naturally afraid. Even though Qian Wu Knight was also a knight, but compared to someone like Qing Mu who could leave behind a tablet in Primal Chaos City, he wasn't on the same level. There were only 52 tablets in Primal Chaos City. Qing Mu's power, amongst all the human races in the universe, could be ranked in the top 50. Pung, pung, pung. Strike after strike, Qian Wu Knight was beaten until his head was full of bumps, and he was forced to flee. Your whole family is crazy. Venerable Qian Wu jumped up and scolded. Such a small matter. Even my old nest was destroyed. Is there any justice in this world? Are you crazy? Isn't it just destroying a country? How big is that? Qing Mu Knight laughed and shook his head. You are still young and strong. Just build a new country. As long as my son is happy, let him destroy it for fun. Crazy, crazy. Your whole family is crazy. Qian Wu Knight scolded and then turned and fled, meeting a whole family of crazy people, and they were crazy people that he couldn't beat. There was really nothing he could do. They didn't even bother to reason with you, smashing your staff down. What else was there to say? Don't run. At this time, Yu Yin rushed up and roared at Qian Wu Knight. You evil bitch are even more unreasonable. I'd be stupid not to run. Qian Wu Knight ran even faster. That, even if you want to run, bring your descendants with you. There's so many of them. You don't want them? Yu Yin waved her hand and threw the Qian Wu Empire royalty that she kept in her god country towards Qian Wu Knight. Ah, she threw out trillions of people, covering the sky and earth as they flew around. Countless people screamed, Bandits! Bandits! You are all crazy bandits. Venerable Ganwu was angry and furious. He could only wave his hand to collect his descendants and turn to run. You bunch of bandits, just you wait. I'll report you to the Hong Alliance. I'll ask the Primal Chaos City leader and huge axe founder to help me. After saying those words, Venerable Qian Wu ran off without a trace. Old bastard, why didn't you kill him? What if he holds a grudge and attacks our son when we're not paying attention? Yu Yin stared at the direction where Qian Wu Knight left with a murderous look, as if she was planning to do something. It's not a big deal to mess with the Qian Wu Empire. If we kill Qian Wu Knight, maybe the Primal Chaos City leader will interfere. Stupid bitch, we're not invincible. Qing Mu shook his head. We'll just keep an eye on him. If Qianwu Knight dares to attack Qing He, I'll kill him, and no one will say anything. Isn't it because you're useless? After so many years, you still haven't become a universe master. What Dichio bloodline? Humph. Yu Yan gave another furious roar. Soon to become a universe master. Qingmu laughed and stood with his hands behind his back. He was in high spirits. When I become a universe master, if you still dare to be disrespectful to me, I can't do anything to you. From today onwards, the Qianwu Empire will be renamed Qing He Empire. Qing He Empire destroyed a country in a fit of anger. From then on, he was in the limelight and feared by everyone. He had completely earned the title of being a playboy. Chapter 995. The Ganwu Universe country became the Qing River country, just like that. Luo Feng, Thunder God, and Hong exchanged glances. They felt this world was too terrifying. A huge empire, a high-level universe country with a universe knight ancestor, was so easily destroyed? Lu Ziqing's parents, just how terrifying were they? You were the brothers Qing River met during his training? At this time, Qing Mu and Yu Yin landed from space, smiling at Luo Feng and the other two. Star level with a domain, your temperament and talent are extraordinary. No wonder you're my son's friends. Not bad, not bad. Uncle and Auntie, you flatter us. The parents of a brother's friend were naturally the elders. Facing Lu Ziqing's parents, Luo Feng and the other two hurriedly bowed respectfully. Ha ha ha. Good kids. Hearing the words uncle and auntie, Qing Mu and Yu Yan's faces glowed. They were overjoyed. Since their son's friends called them uncle and auntie, their son must have already acknowledged them as his parents. It was just that he was still a bit awkward and didn't change the way he addressed them. Since you were Qing River's brothers and friends, then you are family. Qing Mu nodded and smiled, glancing at the three and nodding. Your talents are extraordinary, and you are family. I'll introduce you to a teacher. Hong, you are proficient in the spear, and your temperament and training are very tough. You are suitable for the huge axe sect. You can train with Void Gold Master for a while. Thunder God's martial path is tough. He is proficient in lightning, very suitable for Black Dragon Knight's path. Luo Feng's path is hard to determine. However, his gold and space laws are not bad. You can go to Gay E Knight's side for a while. Void Gold Master, Black Dragon Knight, Gue Knight. Hearing these three names, Luo Feng and the other two were stunned. We found a Universe Knight level teacher, just like that? Even though there was a difference between a teacher and a master, however, the three were already treated as disciples in name. After all, this was just a recommendation. No matter how close they were, they still had to wait for a while to test their temperament and talent before deciding whether to accept them as true disciples. Thank you, Uncle. The three of them were overjoyed and hurriedly bowed to express their gratitude. With a Venerable One as a teacher, not only would one have a solid background, but one would also be able to receive guidance from the Venerable One. The benefits were simply endless. All of you, focus on your cultivation. I'll give them a heads up and they'll contact you. After making arrangements for their son, as three friends to make their son proud, Qing Mu and Yu Yin looked at Lu Ziqing with smiles on their faces. Just treat it as recognizing a god relative. Lu Ziqing let out a long sigh in his heart. Qing Mu and Yu Yin cared about Lu Ziqing so much that they would pour out their hearts and lungs. Lu Ziqing was both touched and helpless towards this pair of parents. After going through so much, if he still wasn't grateful, he would be an ingrate. Thank you, Dad, Mom. Lu Ziqing stammered, but he still called out the name. Ha, good son. Qing Mu and Yu Yin laughed out loud. Thus, behind every foppish playboy, there were doting parents. Lu Ziqing had officially stepped onto the path of a universe-level hedonist. Time passed day by day, just like that. The finals of the Universe Genius competition had begun. After Luo Feng and the other two became the disciples of knights, they once again stepped onto the stage of the competition. After a series of battles, The three of them entered the top 1,000 of the universe geniuses and obtained the chance to enter Primal Chaos City to study the laws. As for Liu Ziqing, with his current identity, it wasn't a problem for him to enter Primal Chaos City. When Liu Ziqing and the group of geniuses stepped into Primal Chaos City, Liu woke up from his training. Only a few years have passed. That's not long. Within the surging earth, water, fire, and wind of the absolute beginning universe, Liu slowly stood up. Even though only a few years had passed in the universe time, Liu could reverse time, and that moment was an eternity. These few years, he had watched the birth of this world from nothing countless times. During the birth of this primal universe, what I've comprehended the most is this: chaos and disorder. Gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, darkness, time, and space, these laws before the world was born, these laws were actually nothing. When all the laws were condensed to the extreme, they would become nothing. Nothing, the beginning of heaven and earth. Existence, the mother of all creation. Matter and energy, order and laws, these were existence. Chaos, on the other hand, was nothing. It's a pity that this world only has the basic laws. What I can comprehend is only the process of these basic laws returning to nothing. With a flick of his finger, the power of chaos and disorder spread out without a trace. The surrounding earth, water, fire, and wind instantly became nothing, disappearing completely. This was the disorder of chaos. As long as it was matter and energy that Liu could comprehend, as long as it was order and laws that Liu could comprehend, in front of chaos and disorder, everything would return to chaos and become nothing. Hence, any energy and laws based on gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, darkness, time, and space were useless to Liu. Whoever used such things to attack Liu, it was like using a drop of water to attack the ocean. It was simply sending food to the sea. It's a pity. There are more than just these basic laws in the myriad worlds and endless time and space. The laws of karma, reincarnation, providence, merit, and other laws were completely unknown to him if they were to return to chaos. When I demonstrated chaos and disorder just now, the surrounding earth, water, fire, and wind were annihilated. It actually alarmed you. At this time, Liu discovered that a 3-meter-tall dragon man with dragon horns and a dragon tail had instantly appeared where Liu was standing. This dragon man looked around with a face full of surprise. He was very shocked by the mysterious disappearance of the earth, water, fire, and wind in this space. Unfortunately, Liu had 3 characteristics of chaos. Cultivators who had not comprehended chaos would not be able to sense Liu's existence at all. This is a clone of the Primal Chaos City Lord. The Primal Chaos City Lord was one of the top figures in the human world, and also the pillar of the human race in this world. All year long, there was a clone guarding the Primal Chaos City, looking after this holy land of human cultivation. Holy land of cultivation. Liu looked up at the primal universe and shook his head with a smile. Although the laws have been revealed, it is still very difficult to comprehend them. Plus, the energy in the primal universe is very chaotic. It is not conducive to absorption. Holy land of cultivation doesn't live up to its name. Turning his head to look at the Primal Chaos City Lord, then at the countless human cultivators in the Primal Chaos City, Liu smiled. Fine, I have benefited from this place. I have to return the favor to all of you. Then, I will give all of you a real, holy land of cultivation. He reached out his hand, and the laws responded. In the entire primal universe, the laws of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, darkness, time, and space all shook and roared together. What is going on? At this moment, everyone in the primal universe, including the Primal Chaos City Lord, was shocked. Everyone looked at the sky and space in shock. Their hearts were in a daze. They did not know what was going on. The Primal Chaos City Lord was even more shocked. He had already controlled the primal universe and become the master of the universe. But at this moment, he realized that he had lost control of the primal universe. What is going on? The primal Chaos City Lord was shocked. Chapter 996. The Master of the Universe was the Master of the Universe. Primal Chaos City Leader had been in the primal universe for countless years, controlling the primal universe. However, the control of a universe master over a universe was inexplicably severed. Primal Chaos City Leader had never encountered such a situation before. What's going on? What's going on? The Primal Chaos City Leader was starting to panic. The unknown was the scariest thing. This kind of change that was completely unclear of the situation was truly frightening. Wong. There was a slight buzzing sound, and endless light swept across the land. The five elements flowed, light and darkness intertwined, wind and thunder shook, and time and space trembled. The black and white light rippled like waves, sweeping across the entire primal universe. A Tai Chi diagram appeared in the sky. As the light flowed, the laws of heaven and earth shook. The Tai Chi diagram stabilized the earth, water, fire, and wind. This stabilized was the rule. Under Li Yu's order origin, the laws of heaven and earth were reshaped. The surging earth, water, fire, and wind stabilized, and the space of the primal universe became even more stable. Heaven and earth converged, and spiritual energy flowed. The primal energy of heaven and earth in the primal universe became extremely pure and abundant. This wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was the laws had been integrated into the primal energy of heaven and earth. There was no need to look at them like before. Now, one only needed to absorb the primal energy of heaven and earth to comprehend the laws. In an instant, heaven and earth changed. All the monks in Primal Chaos City were shocked and overjoyed to find that they could clearly comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. What's going on? The monks in Primal Chaos City were very surprised, but Primal Chaos City Leader was shocked. What was going on? How did the primal universe become like this? Although this was very beneficial to the cultivation of the human race, Primal Chaos City Leader couldn't be at ease without knowing the reason. In Primal Chaos City, Lu Ziqing, Luo Feng, Thunder God, and Hong, these fellows from Earth, were stunned when they saw the Tai Chi diagram in the sky. Tai Chi diagram? This is a Tai Chi diagram? Luo Feng and the other two were stunned. The next moment, they turned to look at Lu Ziqing, wanting to find an answer from him. Because, after this, Mount Shu Sword Sect was related to Grand Supreme Elder. Grand Supreme Elder? Could it be that the Patriarch has shown his divinity? Lu Ziqing looked at the sky in shock. When he saw the Taiji diagram that covered the sky, he was pleasantly surprised. Senior Zijin, is the Patriarch really here? Trembling with excitement, Lu Ziqing hurriedly asked the purple gold gourd. Master is indeed here. The purple gold gourd chuckled. However, Master status is too high. You can say that he's here, but you can also say that he's not here. He was everywhere, yet nowhere at the same time. You can't see him. All right, Lu Ziqing nodded. Then he respectfully knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the Taiji diagram in the sky. Disciple Qing, he pays his respects to Grand Patriarch. No need to be so courteous. Get up. A gentle voice sounded beside Lu Ziqing's ear, and a gentle force lifted Lu Ziqing up. Is it really him? Seeing Lu Ziqing kowtow, Luo Feng and the other two were stunned. How could someone like Taishang Lao Jun still exist in this world? Greetings, Sky Sovereign. Luo Feng and the other two, who were born on Earth, were naturally not unfamiliar with such a legendary figure. The Dao Sect Patriarch and Grand Heavenly Sovereign did not dare to be slow. They hurriedly kowtowed. HM, that's Qing He and the rest. Grand Patriarch? Sky Sovereign? This person is Qing He's Patriarch? How come I've never heard of him? With the Primal Chaos City Leader's cultivation, the commotion in the Primal Chaos City naturally could not escape his eyes and ears. Lu Ziqing and the rest kowtow, shocked, the Primal Chaos City Leader. Fellow Taoist, there's no need to panic. The black and white radiance in the sky continued to converge. When the radiance dissipated, a figure in white appeared before the primal chaos city leader. I, the Grand Supreme, have already transcended the heavens and earth. After Liu appeared, he smiled and nodded at the primal chaos city leader. Only by chance did a junior in the lower realm inherit the legacy of one of my unnamed disciples. It was only because of fate that I was able to appear here. Transcended the heavens and earth. The primal chaos city leader was stunned. Even with his cultivation level, he still did not understand what transcended the heavens and earth meant. Oh, your cultivation is insufficient. You have yet to understand the mysteries of the heavens and earth. Liu smiled and pointed at the void. This world has an endless starry sky. It's vast and boundless. In reality, it's only one of the lower realm's 3,000 worlds. With a wave of his hand, a world model appeared in front of the primal chaos city leader. This is the origin continent, the center of the lower realm's 3,000 worlds. Outside the origin continent, there are 3,000 universes. Your universe is one of the 3,000 worlds. With a point of his finger, the universe model dissipated. However, this origin continent and 3,000 worlds are only one world. I have already transcended the heavens and earth. The primal chaos city leader was so shocked that he sucked in a breath of cold air. The entire universe was only one of the 3,000 worlds. Other than the 3,000 worlds, there was another origin continent that was larger than all the 3,000 worlds combined. More importantly, the 3,000 worlds and the origin continent were only one world. And this Grand Supreme Patriarch had already transcended the heavens and earth. What kind of terrifying cultivation was this? No wonder he could change the heavens and earth with a wave of his hand. No wonder he said my cultivation was insufficient. As expected, a mere universe master, compared to such a figure, was simply too lacking in cultivation level. I's disciple is the only heir of the Tao sect in this world. Since he's fated to inherit I's inheritance, I have to give him some benefits. Liu looked at Lu Ziqing and the others in the primal chaos city and nodded with a smile. I will turn this primal universe into a blessed land. Other than my disciple, it'll be beneficial to your cultivation too. With a wave of his hand, a spirit light landed in the primal chaos city leader's hand. This is the core of this primal universe. All the laws are within. You can use this to control the entire primal universe. Also, comprehending the order and laws within will be beneficial to your cultivation too. Thank you, Grand Supreme Patriarch. The primal chaos city leader quickly bowed. Such a small matter. Don't mention it. Liu smiled and waved his hand. He lowered his head and looked in the direction of primal chaos city, looking at the 52 tablets. Since I am here, it means we're fated to be here. Oh well, I'll leave behind a tablet too. As for how much you can learn, it'll depend on yourselves. With a point of his finger, the mysterious yellow surged and condensed. A 10,000 m tall stone tablet with black and white intertwined stood in the middle of the tablet forest outside Primal Chaos City. Tai Chi Tablet. On this tablet, the 5 elements intertwined. Wind and thunder surged. Time and space revolved. It was as though all the laws in this world were within. With just one look, the Primal Chaos City leader felt that it was unfathomable and mysterious. Thank you, Grand Supreme Patriarch, for your grace. With this tablet, Primal Chaos City was truly a sacred land for the humans. Even the universe masters had to come here to comprehend the tablet. Since we're fated, I'll take my leave now. With a faint smile, Liu's body instantly disappeared. There was no trace of his existence. Chapter 997. This is the territory of the Bug Clan. After leaving Primal Chaos City, Liu instantly crossed the endless universe and arrived at the Bug Clan's territory on the other side of the universe. Naturally, Liu is here to capture an insectoid queen and bring it back to play with. The Bug Clan's territory is still very different from the human's territory. Looking at the scene before him that was different from the human world, Liu felt that it was an eye-opener. This trip was not in vain. Originally, with Liu's primal chaos characteristics, infinite primal chaos completely ignored the concept of size and distance. He could reach out and grab a Bug Clan queen. In fact, infinite primal chaos was omnipresent. However, that would make things very boring. In front of him was a purple world. Huge purple stars were flickering with a faint purple light in the starry sky. Actually, these purple stars are not real stars, but mother nests. Liu had already observed mother nests when he was in Shenanjia. A mother nest was a beehive-like ball. When a queen became undying or even a universe master, her mother nest would become extremely huge, like many stars. All life is equal. In I's eyes, the Bug Clan is also an intelligent life form. Therefore, I am not here to exterminate the Bug Clan. Don't be afraid. Looking up at these huge mother nests, Liu began to look for a target. If I collect a queen, I will be able to create a Bug Clan system similar to StarCraft. Even if I use it for research, I have to pick one with more potential. Looking at the mother nests one by one, Liu suddenly realized that there was a very special mother nest. This mother nest was much smaller than the average one, and it was not purplish-red, but light purple. More importantly, there were many plants growing in the queen's hive. Dense vines covered the walls of the hive, and light purple flowers bloomed on the vines. Also, around this mother nest, the nearest mother nest was a few million light years away. In the empty universe, there was only this unique mother nest, floating alone in the universe void. This mother nest should be the Bug Clan's war base, right? Is it appropriate for you to dress up like a literary girl? Liu laughed involuntarily. However, in Liu's eyes, this special mother queen had a very strong life origin. Although she was not the strongest now, she was the most adaptable and had the most potential. Capturing a unique mother queen can be considered as helping the Bug Clan purify their team. Liu laughed loudly and stepped forward, instantly arriving at the center of the mother nest. At the heart of the broodmother's nest was a vast expanse of green grass, with an exquisite palace towering over it. Stepping into the hall, Liu saw the Bug Clan queen. She was a young lady like an elf. Her long, light purple hair cascaded down her shoulders like a waterfall. She did not have the 10-meter-tall figure of the other mother queens, nor did she have a pair of butterfly wings on her back. She looked no different from an ordinary human girl. At this moment, this young lady was curled up on a soft couch, sleeping soundly. She did not know that a man with bad intentions had snuck into her room. "All right, it's you." Liu reached out and flicked his sleeves, instantly putting this young lady into the resource vault. "Hee, you baddie, you're only here now?" "Aya. No, I got the wrong number. Oh no, will I be beaten up by my sister? I'm leaving. Bye, baddie." Suddenly, a voice sounded in Liu's ear. It was a young lady's voice. This voice was very unfamiliar, but Liu felt like he had heard it somewhere before. "What's going on?" Liu's heart tightened, and his face was full of shock. With Liu's current realm, there was actually someone who could mysteriously appear beside him without him noticing. There was actually someone who spoke in his ear without him noticing. How is this possible? How could there be such a terrifying figure in this world? Even the powerful figures on the original continent of this world couldn't silently sneak into Liu's side without him noticing. Perhaps the figures on the original continent were not weak in terms of destructive power. However, in terms of understanding the origin, realm, especially the characteristics of the chaos, and the law of cause and effect, they could not compare with Liu. As for this universe, it was even more impossible for someone to silently come to Liu's side. So, where did this voice come from? First of all, this artistic mother queen was ruled out. She had been put into the resource vault. Even a world-creating figure like Pan, you had no room to struggle, not to mention a world dominator-level mother queen. If it wasn't her, and no one else sneaked in, where did that voice come from? "I like to see who you are." Liu waved his hand with a gloomy face. Turn back time. Time turned back. What happened before replayed in front of Liu's eyes. From entering the bug territory to putting the Mother Queen into the resource vault, everything happened before Liu's eyes. However, he couldn't find that voice. No, not ever. That voice had never appeared in the timeline. Damn it. Liu's face turned even darker. At Liu's realm, it was impossible for him to mishear. He heard that voice, so that voice must exist. Since he couldn't turn back time, there was only one possibility. This matter, the matter of this woman's voice, had been erased from the timeline. Even I can't find a trace? Is there someone in this world who is stronger than me in the law of time? After attaining the characteristics of the fruit of Tao, Liu's control of time had reached the level of an instant is eternity. This is the timeline of my own experience. Who has the ability to erase the timeline of I heard this voice? Liu cultivated the Infinite Sutra. From the beginning, he cultivated the power of time. To reach his current level, it could be said that he had accumulated a lot of experience. After fusing the law of time from countless worlds, Liu was confident that no one in this world could erase the timeline of Liu's own experience without him noticing. I can't find in the timeline, but I still have the law of cause and effect. The fruit of Tao had a deep understanding of cause and effect. It could be said that it was the strongest law of cause and effect in the worlds that Liu had experienced. He pointed out and activated the principles of karma to search for the cause and effect of this voice. Still nothing? Not on the timeline. Not on the timeline. At this moment, Liu was shocked and angry. What's going on? Since he couldn't achieve his goal, Liu focused on the voice itself. Hee, you bad guy. Why are you only here now? Oh no, I got the wrong number. I'm done for. Will I be beaten by my sister? I'm leaving. Bad guy, goodbye. Recalling these 3 sentences, Liu furrowed his brows tightly. Bad guy, just arrived? That means someone knows that I'm coming? They've been waiting here all this time, but waiting here only to say such a sentence? What's the point? And getting the wrong number, what does this mean? Do you think this is a game? Chapter 998. Make an account? A game? Liu suddenly recalled a movie he had watched before he had transmigrated. Could it be that the people in this world are controlled by the people in the real world like in the movie? Liu frowned and shook his head again. He had mastered all the laws of heaven and earth in this universe, so he clearly understood that there were no laws in this world that people could make an account. This world was not a game world, so there were no so-called players. Then, I made an account. What does that mean? At that moment, His Majesty Emperor Yu, who had been the mastermind behind the scenes and had everything under his control, suddenly realized that this matter was completely out of his expectations. He could not make heads or tails of it at all. This happened because of this Queen Mother. Could it be that this has something to do with her? Liu had come to capture the Queen Mother because of his own ideas. Whether it was coming to the Bug Clan Star Sector or choosing this unique Queen Mother, it was all his own idea. It was impossible for anyone to influence Liu's mind without him noticing. This Queen Mother at the Universe Master level, even if she was proficient in spiritual illusion techniques, was still far from being able to confuse Liu's mind. It was even more impossible for her to create an illusion technique and say those words without Liu noticing. This Queen Mother is not capable of doing such a thing. Liu is certain that this could not be an illusion technique. With Liu's soul cultivation, he could not even confuse Celestial Master Mirage, who had become an emperor through illusion techniques, let alone this Queen Mother of the Bug Clan. There was no attack, and no one did anything behind the scenes. It's as if that voice appeared just to say those words that sounded like a joke. Liu stroked his chin and paced back and forth in the palace of the Queen Mother of the Bug Clan. He could not stop thinking. Bad guy? Just arrived? Goodbye? Thinking back to that voice, Liu suddenly felt that it was very strange. Whether it was the tone or the content of the words, it was like a girl acting cute and coquettish. Just a joke? Then, who was the one joking with me? Someone who had the ability to make such a joke was definitely not an ordinary person. Even if Liu wanted to make such a joke in the world he had been to, he would have to go through the system to transmit his voice to the other world. Could it be the system's master behind the scenes? Why'd he do that? Was it just a joke? Why spend so much effort to erase the traces of time and karma? The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. Liu only felt that this matter was simply baffling. No matter who you are, I'd like to see how capable you are if you want to take advantage of me. Liu tapped the profound amber sword at his waist and stepped out of the broodmother's nest. Liu frowned as he turned to look at the broodmother behind him. Even the queen has been captured. Naturally, we can't let the broodmother go. Reaching out with his hand, boundless primal chaos energy gushed out from his palm, disregarding size. The broodmother, which was as large as a planet, was caught in Liu's hand like a ping-pong ball. With a flick of his sleeve, he collected all the resources in an instant. In this universe, even godly kings are suppressed by the laws of the universe and are left half dead. If the person who made such a joke with me came from the origin continent, it would definitely cause a change in the laws of heaven and earth. Liu stepped out and instantly arrived at the origin of the laws of this universe. Reaching out with his hand, the laws of order were connected. Liu integrated his mind into the sea of laws of this universe and carefully examined the traces of the laws. There are no traces at all. Now I can be sure that the voice has nothing to do with this universe or this world. Retracting his mind, Liu nodded. If it's not from this world, then it must be from beyond the heavens. Liu had also encountered transmigrators during his travels across the universe. If he were to expand his imagination and assume that the so-called soul transmigration was the registration that the voice spoke of, a transmigrator management organization like a game, the legendary time control department, all right, these were all wild guesses. Furthermore, they were wild guesses without any basis. I'll deal with whatever comes my way. Even if some time control department really pops up, I'll beat them until their heads are full of bumps. Since it was clear that the voice came from beyond the heavens, Liu was no longer in a hurry. No matter where the voice came from, what plans it had, whether it was a friend or foe, he couldn't care less for the time being. The him in the origin world was about to wake up. Currently, this him was the true life and death crisis. As for this voice, he would treat it as a prank for the time being. The origin of this voice must be extremely terrifying. To be able to erase the voice that Liu heard from the timeline and karma lines without him noticing. This was not something that ordinary people could do. There were always priorities. Even if it was an enemy, he had to deal with them one by one. More importantly, he had to find this enemy, right? Forget it for the time being. Let's deal with the matter at hand first. In the origin land of the universe, Liu sat down cross-legged and began to think about his plans. In this world, my greatest goal is to comprehend the chaos. Now, based on the laws of this world, the disorder of chaos that I comprehended is already the greatest harvest of this world. The composition of this world was based on those basic laws. It was impossible to comprehend other characteristics of chaos. In fact, my disorder of chaos is still incomplete. I still need to supplement fate, merit, karma, and some other special laws. Liu had already come into contact with these laws. In fact, he had a deep understanding of them. However, it was still not easy to incorporate these laws into the chaos. Without a specific reference, it would take too much time just to meditate on his own. Therefore, next I have to find a world that has the basic laws of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, darkness, space-time, as well as the laws of merit, fate, karma, and reincarnation to perfect my disorder of chaos. The system's authority had already reached level 2. Liu could already choose a world on his own. There is a world, known as the Fate Destroyer world. It has these laws and also has a person who created the heavens and earth. It also has the eternal creation state. It is suitable for me to comprehend. Now that he had a complete plan, Liu stood up and glanced at the world. He nodded and said, I'm just a quiet observer of this world. I haven't caused any trouble. Before I leave, should I mess around a bit? The humans of this world have all sorts of weird appearances. They don't meet the standards of human beauty. Therefore, I will give you a chance. He extended his hand and pressed down. Light swept up and through the origin land. It connected with the laws of the universe. In the name of order, after a human cultivator reaches the universe level, he can reconstruct his body. The universe level is the transformation period, using the humans of Earth as the transformation model. Words were law. It was engraved in the laws of the universe and became one of the laws of this world. Therefore, all the universe level and above cultivators in the entire world were shocked to discover that their appearances were rapidly changing. As a result, there were countless incidents where their clothes did not fit or even fell off due to the drastic changes in their bodies. The male cultivators were all smiles, and the female cultivator screamed. Regarding this, the great hoodwinker Lee expressed that he really didn't do it on purpose. Chapter 999. I'm back. With a flash of light, Liu returned to his divine residence. I've gained a lot this time. Chaotic disorder is a very powerful trait. It should be one of the core traits of chaos. Although it's not perfect yet, it still has infinite power. Under chaotic disorder, all matter and energy, order and laws were turned into nothingness and ceased to exist. For example, whether it was weapons, magic treasures, divine abilities, or secret arts, they were all made of matter and energy according to a certain order of laws. Under Liu's chaotic disorder, everything was turned into nothingness. Divine abilities and magic treasures were all turned into chaotic chaos. If this chaotic disorder was cultivated to the extreme, one could turn all the worlds and endless space-time into chaotic nothingness with a single thought. One thought could destroy endless space-time. Apart from this chaotic disorder, that Maverick Queen Mother is secondary. Liu turned his head to look at the resource vault. When he saw the Maverick Queen Mother, he frowned slightly. I heard the voice from outside the timeline when I was collecting this Queen Mother. Could it be that the voice has something to do with her? Did the so-called get on the account mean that someone wanted to get on the account of the Queen Mother? No matter what the other party's plan is, no matter who wants to get on the account, I've reconstructed her soul. It's the same as formatting. It's useless for anyone to have any ideas. Liu sneered. He waved his hand and reconstructed the Queen Mother's soul. Baiyin greets your majesty. After the Queen Mother's soul was reconstructed, she changed her name to Baiyin and became one of the maids in Liu's divine residence. I have the bloodline information of countless divine beasts here. I'll give them to you. Go and study them. By the way, don't mess around in the divine residence. Choose an island outside the heavenly south for your strange insect army and put it there. Liu did not intend to turn his divine residence into a nest of insects. Don't worry, your majesty. Baiyin will only study the bloodline information. I won't put those small fries in the divine residence. Baiyin received the bloodline information from Liu and bowed to Liu in joy. Sai, Liu called out, planning to let Sai, his personal maid and manager of the divine residence, take care of Baiyin's daily chores. But to Liu's surprise, after he called her, this personal maid who was always on call, after a while, she was late. Your Majesty, your Majesty. Sai walked in the main hall and glanced at Baiyin before looking at Liu. She slightly curled her lips and said, Your Majesty, someone just came to visit. And you brought another one? What? What's going on? Liu was stunned for a moment. What do you mean by someone just came looking for you? She's in the garden of the divine residence of the garden. Her background is too great, and her cultivation is too high. We don't dare to offend her. Sai's words revealed some hidden bitterness. She walked in front of Baiyin. Sister, come, big sister will take you to settle down. Your Majesty, Baiyin will take her leave. After Baiyin bowed to Liu, she followed Sai out of the hall. To be able to come to the divine residence space, one can only go through the merchant base. But I gave the authority, and only Pan she can come through the merchant base. Could it be that she's here? Liu smiled and walked out of the hall, heading toward the divine residence's garden. After activating the system's level 2 authority, the 9 floating islands turned into 9 huge continents. The divine residence's garden was now very big. Walking into the garden, The huge Bodhi tree stretched its branches and leaves, towering into the clouds. A jade-green vine, like a huge dragon, covered the entire garden. All kinds of immortal herbs and flowers were in full bloom. Immortal Qi lingered, and auspicious clouds rose. The lotus pond in front of him was like a huge lake. The lotus leaves reached the sky, and the lotus flowers bloomed. Not bad. Tung Qing, this gardener, has taken care of the divine residence's garden quite well. Liu had been busy transmigrating and hadn't been to the divine residence's garden for a long time. At this moment, seeing the garden's atmosphere, he was very satisfied. Your Majesty, you're here? Hee, you've been fooling around outside, and the sisters at home are a little unhappy. As soon as he stepped into the garden, a vine swayed beside him, and Tong Qing's teasing voice sounded. What nonsense are you talking about? Liu was speechless. I've been single for countless years. Why have I been fooling around? Ignoring Tong Qing's teasing, Liu walked into the garden. At the lotus pond in front of him, Xia Ling, Wang Shu, Jin Kai, Jiang Tingting, and Yin Luo accompanied Pan Shi to play by the lotus pond. Everyone was laughing and talking, and seemed to get along very well. Pan Shi, you're here? Liu walked over with a smile and greeted Pan Shi. Greetings, Your Majesty. When Xia Ling and the others saw Liu arrive, they glared at him bitterly and bowed together. Pan Shi greets Taoist brother. I hope Taoist brother will forgive me for taking the liberty to come here. Pan Shi smiled sweetly and bowed to Liu. Get up, get up. Everyone get up. Liu smiled and waved his hand, indicating for everyone to get up. We haven't seen each other for a few years, and Taoist brother emperor, you has become even more unfathomable. As the world's creator, Pan Shi's cultivation and vision were very brilliant. She immediately discovered that Liu's cultivation seemed to be even more unfathomable than the last time they met. I've traveled to the limits of the universe and have some insights. Liu nodded with a smile and led everyone to a nearby pavilion to sit down. During my trip out this time, I discovered an interesting method of creating a world. Although the world created by this method, when developed to the limit, will not be as large as the world created by the creation of heaven and earth. But some things are still quite interesting. The world created by the creation of heaven and earth, in addition to the main continent, also had the endless starry sky. Compared to the inner world, it was even larger. Liu reached out and waved his hand, organizing the cultivation method of the previous world, turning it into a ball of light and presenting it in front of Pan Shi. Oh, if Taoist brother finds it interesting, then there must be something to learn from it. Pan Shi smiled and took the ball of light, reaching out and pressing it between her eyebrows. With a flash of light, all the information was absorbed into her mind. It's indeed interesting. Pan Shi smiled and nodded. Although there are only the basic laws of the 5 elements, light, darkness, wind, thunder, time, and space, and there is no karma, and reincarnation, it's already very extraordinary. It's also a useful reference for my cultivation. After the creation of heaven and earth, Pan Shi could also use this method to cultivate in the world created by the creation of heaven and earth. It was also very valuable for the growth of Pan Shi's strength. Thank you for your generous gift, Taoist brother. Pan Shi smiled and thanked Liu. Don't be so polite. You're too polite. Liu smiled and waved his hand. Yes, we're almost a family. What's there to be polite about? At this time, Jiang Ting pouted, rolled her eyes at Liu, and interjected in a strange tone. As soon as these words came out, the scene suddenly became awkward. Pan Shi lowered her head with a flushed face, somewhat at a loss. Your Majesty, someone has come to visit again. At this time, the figure of Tsai landed in the pavilion and glared at Liu fiercely. Your Majesty, just now the immortal court of South Parting Island reported that a person named Fairy Tianxue came to visit. Fairy Tianxue? Another one? At this time, Liu seemed to be burned to ashes by the gazes of the women. Even Pan, she looked at Liu with a bit of hostility. An inch of harem is an inch of blood. Young man, the harem is risky You have to be careful when opening it. Chapter 1000. Tianshui, Fairy Tianshui? Tianshui Jinjuan, isn't it? After being stunned for a moment, Liu remembered who this so-called Tianshui, Fairy Tianshui was. Don't talk nonsense. That's Tianshui Jinjuan of the Tianshui Prefecture in the Southern Heaven region. She must have come here for an important matter. Don't think too much. Liu quickly explained. After explaining, Liu was stunned again. That's not right, right? I'm still single. Why do I feel like I have to greet my wife first when I meet my female friend? Could it be that these so-called maids and subordinates have unknowingly become superior? It's really a mess. Liu quickly put aside his wild thoughts and turned to look at Pan Shi. He said with a smile, Pan Shi, there's another world outside my immortal mansion. You haven't seen the world outside my immortal mansion yet. Why don't you come with me and take a look? Taoist brother wants to meet a guest. Pan Shi, it's not very convenient. Hearing Liu's invitation, Pan Shi's face blushed a little. This person, how can he do things without thinking? You're meeting a guest, and I'm going with you? What identity do I have? Even if I'm the mistress, well, Pan Shi blushed again. What's inconvenient about it? Go. Everyone is going. Grand Official Li seemed to have a negative EQ. He didn't realize the meaning behind this. Yes, we're going together. In Luo suddenly stood up and glared fiercely at Liu. Thus, His Majesty Yu Huang, along with his harem, cordially received true monarch Tianshui from the Tianshui mansion of the Southern Heaven region. Tianshui greets Li and fellow Taoists. At the peak of the Undying Mountain on South Parting Island, in a main hall on the back of Baxia, Liu and the other women received Tianshui Jinjuan cordially. Tianshui Jinjuan was also a little confused by this lineup. He did not know what was going on with this Mr. Li bringing a group of women over. I didn't know fellow Taoist Tianshui was coming. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. When Tsai and the others served tea and refreshments, Liu smiled and nodded at Tianshui Jinjuan. Fellow Taoist Tianshui, what brings you here today? Tianshui looked up at the women around Liu and hesitated for a moment before continuing. Last time, Lily told me about the Celestial Venerable. A few days ago, Tianshui accidentally heard a piece of news that seemed to have something to do with the Celestial Venerable, so I came to inform Mr. Li. News about the Celestial Venerable? Liu was shocked, and his face became serious. The Celestial Venerable of this world had long disappeared without a trace. There was no trace of his existence at all. If it were not for the notes of Celestial Venerable Mirage last time, Liu would not have known what was wrong with this world. However, the news of Celestial Venerable Mirage was something that happened millions of years ago. It was not clear whether the current situation had changed or not. At this moment, hearing Tianshui mention the news of the Celestial Venerable, Liu is very important. Please tell me, Tianshui Jinjuan. Liu cupped his hands and bowed. You're too polite, Mr. Li. Tianshui Jinjuan smiled and shook his head. He reached out and took out a broken jade talisman. Mr. Li, this is a fragment of a talisman that Tianshui accidentally found. Although it is broken, there is a trace of aura inside, which makes Tianshui's heart palpitate. I think this should have something to do with the Celestial Venerable. It does have something to do with the Celestial Venerable. Liu reached out and took the broken jade talisman. He felt the residual aura in it and confirmed that it was left behind by a Celestial Venerable. Thank you, fellow Taoist Tianshui. This thing is very valuable to Tianshui. Liu put away the broken jade talisman, reached out and took out a piece of Taichu Motetsu and handed it to Tianshui Jinjuan. Fellow Taoist Tianshui, this is a water-type supreme treasure called Taichu Motetsu. It should be of some help to your cultivation. Taichu Motetsu, the Tao of Ice? Tianshui Jinjuan was shocked when he saw the piece of Taichu Motetsu. Thank you for your generous gift, fellow Taoist. Tianshui will not stand on ceremony. The Tao of Ice in Taichu Motetsu would be of great help to Tianshui's water-type Tao. Naturally, Tianshui would not miss out on such a treasure. Fellow Taoist Tianshui, you have helped me a great deal. It is just an external object, not worth mentioning. Now that he had learned about another celestial venerable, he might be able to find out more information. Liu was about to face the threat of him, so this information would certainly be of great help. Fellow Taoist, Tianshui is very grateful for your generous gift. Taichu Motetsu will be of great help to Tianshui's cultivation. Tianshui needs to go back and meditate in seclusion, so I will take my leave first. After bowing and saying goodbye, Tianshui Jinjuan rode a cloud and left South Parting Island in an instant. Your Majesty, if you want to find the Celestial Venerable, why don't you let us go and find him? You don't have to rely on these outsiders. When Tianshui left, Xie Ling frowned slightly and turned to look at Liu. Your Majesty, with the strength of our South Parting Island, it is not a problem to sweep the world. Our own people are always more reliable than outsiders. Don't worry too much. Liu smiled and waved his hand. I am just a little curious. It is not a big deal. Liu naturally would not tell these girls at home about this kind of life-threatening matter. On the one hand, he didn't want them to worry. On the other hand, telling them this kind of thing was not helpful at all. Panshi is here for the first time. Let's go and have a look. Liu changed the topic and walked out of the hall with the girls. He summoned the 9 Dragons Rui carriage, boarded it, and walked around the famous places of the Southern Heaven region with the girls. This trip has really broadened Pan-Shi's horizons. Returning to the Immortal Mansion, Pan-Shi said goodbye to Liu. The cultivation method given by Taoist brother is very valuable. Pan-Shi still needs to go back and comprehend it. Goodbye. It's good that it is useful. Liu smiled. I still have some books here. When you have time, you can come and have a look at them at any time. There are always some benefits for you to refer to. Thank you, Taoist brother. What come to read books? In Pan-Shi's view, this should be an invitation. This time, Pan-Shi also summoned a lot of courage to come here. At this moment, hearing Liu's invitation, Pan-Shi was very happy. In that case, Pan-Shi will take her leave first. After saluting everyone, Pan-Shi stepped on the cross-boundary transmission array in the Immortal Mansion and returned to the Pan-Shi world. Your Majesty, when she comes next time, we will have to call her Empress, right? Kai said with a face full of hidden bitterness. We still don't have any weight in His Majesty's heart. We only have the life of a maid and subordinate. Xie Ling held the corner of her clothes and lowered her head. His Majesty is wise and mighty. How can His Majesty take a fancy to us lowly people? Wang Shu and Jin Kai sat down in a fit of pique. Brother, don't you want anything any more? Little Tingting's eyes flashed with tears. Little heartless. In Luo fiercely stomped her feet. I don't know anything. Baiyan shrunk her head timidly. Why do I feel that something is wrong? Liu was stunned. Before, these people were not like this, right? This kind of situation had never happened before, right? How did it suddenly become like this? I'm still single. Big Bossly wanted to cry, but had no tears. In fact, this is a trap. Chapter 1001. I have something to do. I'll take my leave first. Big Bossly fled, but in his heart, he still felt a little strange. There didn't seem to be any ambiguity in his previous interactions with the girls. Why did it suddenly become like this all of a sudden? Although Liu wasn't disgusted and was even secretly delighted, he always felt that the change was too fast, and he was somewhat caught off guard. This matter was too strange. Forget it. A woman's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the sea. Who knows what they are thinking? I don't have time to talk about love now. He, in the main world, was a huge threat, and Liu couldn't care about other things. Stepping out of the Immortal Mansion, Liu arrived outside South Parting Island. This jade talisman fragment sent by Tianshui must be something left behind by a celestial lord, but I don't know if this celestial lord is still alive. Liu reached out and took out the jade talisman fragment. Following the residual aura, he launched the principles of karma and used the law of karma to search for information about this celestial lord. Inexplicable threads flashed in front of Liu's eyes. Following the karma on the jade talisman, he found the only karma thread that had not yet been broken. This karma thread is the place where the jade talisman was made. He didn't find any other karma of this celestial lord. The only karma thread was the karma thread between the jade talisman and the place where it was made. That should be a secret palace of this celestial lord. Liu still knew too little about him in the main world. If he could find some clues from this celestial lord's secret palace, that would be even better. Following this karma thread, Liu stepped out and instantly came to a luxuriant mountain range in the western part of the southern heaven region. This cave was built at the bottom of a bottomless cold pool. Entering through the water, Liu instantly arrived in front of the door of this cave. There are no concealment arrays. Unlike the secret palace of Celestial Lord Mirage, this cave didn't have layers of concealment arrays. Instead, countless seals were set up on the door. Chaos and disorder. He reached out and brushed his hand over the seal on the door. The power of disorder of primal chaos immediately destroyed all of the seals, reducing everything to nothingness. An abode without a concealment array. Could it be that this abode was left behind by this Empyrean before his existence was discovered? After removing the seal on the door, Liu pushed the door open and stepped into the cave. As expected, this is the atmosphere of an Empyrean immortal's cave. In front of him was a vast world. Immortal clouds curled up and auspicious vapors rose. Numerous luxurious palaces floated above the immortal clouds, just like a sacred and glorious heavenly palace. All kinds of exotic flowers, herbs, immortal fruits, and divine trees were competing for their beauty in every corner of the palace. The ground beneath his feet was a continent. On this continent, there were many huge cities. However, no matter if it was the immortal palace or the city, there was no one at all. These cities are where this celestial venerable's disciples live. Liu glanced at the various cities on the ground and nodded. Presumably, countless years ago, there was an incomparably powerful holy sect here. Unfortunately, everything has vanished in a thin air. There was no information about his existence in these cities. Liu set his eyes on those heavenly palaces. He stepped out and entered the heavenly palaces. Looking up at these floating heavenly palaces, Liu found the same aura as the broken jade talisman in the golden palace in the center. That's where this Empyrean immortal meditated. Liu ignored the other floating palaces and went straight to the golden palace in the center. Wuwei Holy Palace. Seeing the plaque on the palace, Liu raised his eyebrows. Wuwei? In the records of Celestial Venerable Mirage, there was a Wuwei Tianzuan in the southern heaven region. Is this place Wuwei Tianzuan's cave residence? If it was Wuwei Tianzuan, then this place was even older than Celestial Venerable Mirage. Liu shook his head. He didn't have much hope for this place. In the records of Celestial Venerable Mirage, Wuwei Tianzuan was a celestial venerable who left behind only a pool of dirty blood and died just like that. This Wuwei Tianzuan didn't know about his existence until he died. There was no information about him in Wuwei Tianzuan at all. Since I'm here, I'd better take a look. He stepped into the Wuwei Holy Palace and saw the pool of dirty blood in the main hall. This pool of blood hadn't solidified yet. After millions of years, this pool of blood seemed to have just flowed down. The bright red blood was blooming with brilliant divine light. Waves of fierce, domineering, and violent Taoist rhyme were surging in this pool of dirty blood. Just this residual Taoist rhyme alone was enough to shake a person below the immortal emperor to pieces as soon as he got close to it. Fierce and domineering, this Wuwei Tianzuan's great Tao law was actually the Tao of strength, which was like proving the Tao with strength. To become a celestial venerable in this world, one had to use one's own great Tao to see through reality and illusion, so that one could reach the realm of all things are void, only one is true. This Wuwei Tianzuan's method of promotion is, I don't care if you're real or not. Only those that I can't kill or smash are real. Feeling the residual Taoist rhyme in the blood, Liu was speechless. This Wuwei Tianzuan's character was really indifferent to life and death, and he would fight if he didn't accept it. This pool of blood. Liu looked down at the blood on the ground and took a deep breath. If I go back in time and look at the scene of Wu Wei Tianzun's death, this was a huge risk, given that he was far more powerful than a celestial venerable. Once Liu went back in time and looked at the scene of Wu Wei Tianzun's death, he would definitely meet him face to face at that time in the past. Once they met, would that he swallow another snack while he was at it? It's too risky. Liu was not ready to meet him face to face. Once he went back in time and exposed himself to him, it would be a suicide mission. Shaking his head helplessly, Liu left the hall. He had no intention of going back in time to look at the past. Let's see if Wu Wei Tianzun left anything behind. Walking out of the hall, Liu walked around the Wu Wei sacred palace and searched carefully. I found something, but it has nothing to do with him! In the back hall of the Wu Wei sacred palace, Liu found a fist print. This was a fist print left behind by Wu Wei Tianzun. In the fist print, there was also a message left behind by Wu Wei Tianzun. According to ancient legends, on the road of cultivation in this world, besides the celestial venerable, there is another realm called the celestial emperor. I have dominated the world for hundreds of thousands of years. With a pair of iron fists, no one can resist. Invincible in the world, heroes are helpless. Lonely indeed. I also have some understanding of the celestial emperor realm. The strength is so strong that with one punch, everything will be reduced to nothingness. Therefore, this realm must be the celestial emperor realm. This was the message left behind in the fist print. It was very likely that Wu Wei Tianzun left this fist print when he was comprehending the celestial emperor realm. Celestial emperor? The realm above the celestial venerable? With one punch, everything will be reduced to nothingness? Wu Wei Tianzun was such an invincible figure, a figure who lamented the loneliness of being invincible. In the end, he was still swallowed by him! With a long sigh, Liu turned and left Wu Wei's cave. I don't have much time left. I have to improve my cultivation as soon as possible. The huge pagoda has absorbed all the spiritual qi, which has caused the spiritual qi in the central plains to become thin, and there are almost no cultivators left. In this central plains, which was full of mortals, the fluctuations of spiritual power of cultivators were as conspicuous as a bonfire at night. At this time, did Shi Xian transmigrate or not? As a newcomer, Liu didn't want to attract too much attention. For such a small matter, he didn't need to use the great power of back to time. With a sway of his body, he silently landed in the courtyard. In the main hall of the courtyard, a 17 or 18-year-old young Taoist priest wearing a green Taoist robe was sitting in meditation with a calming incense stick in his hand. This person is still Dubai. Shi Xian's soul hasn't transmigrated yet. Liu looked at the young man who was sitting in meditation. He could tell at a glance that the young man was using the visualization technique to cultivate his soul. In this world, the first stage of cultivation is qi cultivation, and the second stage is primordial spirit. The techniques in this world focus on the cultivation of the soul and walk the path of immortality of the primordial spirit. Liu smiled. The spirit refinement technique, the sun spirit, is immortal. In essence, this world's cultivation path is similar to the sun spirit. It's just that, looking at the young man named Dubai, Liu shook his head. Your mind is capricious. You can't subdue your mind, but you want to visualize the moonlight spirit cleansing technique. The moonlight is also fire. If you don't sever your distracting thoughts, then even your divine soul will be burned. Sure enough, this Dubai's divine soul had already begun to catch fire. Young man, you'll definitely have to give up your body. Otherwise, when Shi Xian's soul transmigrates, whose body will it fall on? Seeing Dubai's soul burning in the raging fire, Liu smiled. With a wave of his hand, he pulled out Dubai's soul and stored it in the resource vault. Although Shi Xian can only reincarnate in your body if you die. But, Liu laughed. One day in the future, when Shi Xian finds out that the original owner of his body is still alive, his expression will be very interesting. Crack! At this time, a slight shattering sound came from the void. A small, inconspicuous bead, like a pebble, broke through the void and fell toward Du Bai's body. Young man, I want to borrow your bead to take a look. You won't mind, right? Liu reached out and grabbed the acquired spiritual treasure, Mountain River Bead, in his hand. He stored the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers in the resource vault and scanned it, including the structure of the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers and the Yu of the Shangqing dynasty's Dui collection of Dao. This world is rather special. It has countless worlds. I want to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. If I go from world to world, I don't know how long it will take me to complete the task. Liu smiled. However, when the cultivation techniques of this world are cultivated to the extreme, they will have the power to create the world and become eternal and indestructible. The path of cultivation is the path to comprehend the 3,000 great Taoists. Therefore, I have to refer to the cultivation techniques of this world and practice them myself. Only then can I completely comprehend the laws of heaven and earth and comprehend the chaos and disorder. The Shangqing Yu true legacy of Du Dao's collection was the true legacy of the great Dao left behind by Yu Daoren, an existence who had transcended this world and created the Yu Qian. This was a true great Dao technique that pointed directly to eternity. It was one of the top cultivation techniques in this world. Therefore, the great hoodwinker naturally would not let go of something that could be easily obtained. If a transmigrator's soul doesn't have the memories of the original owner of the body, it will be very troublesome in the initial stages of this world. We're from the same hometown, so I naturally won't cheat you. He made a copy of Du Bai's memories and sent it into the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers. Since we're from the same hometown, I've also taken advantage of you a little, so I can't not give you something in return. A strange smile appeared on Liu's face. Since you're cultivating a Daoist cultivation technique, I'll give you a demonic cultivation technique. Are you going to cultivate it or not? In the God Lord's world, Liu had trained Senior Colonel Chu into a Mahasvara. In Little Meng's world, there were also demonic sections. Demonic Master Han Guang, who was tricked to death by Liu, was a big shot in the demonic sections. Over the years, as Liu's cultivation level increased, he naturally understood the essence of demonic cultivation, harming others to benefit oneself. This was the biggest characteristic of demonic cultivation. There are ghosts in this world. Young man, when you kill ghosts and demons, it's also very necessary to collect some interest, right? Pointing a finger at the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers, Liu imprinted the demonic soul-devouring mantra, which could devour souls and spirits into Shi Xian's spirit. Hello, fellow townsmen. Goodbye, fellow townsmen. With a wave of his hand, he sent the Pearl of Mountains and Rivers into the consciousness of Du Bai's body. With a smile and a wave of his hand, Liu's figure instantly disappeared. Chapter 1003. The Prime Clear Treasury? And this is the heavenly devil soul-devouring mantra. Shi Xian woke up leisurely. After sorting out the memories of his predecessor, he saw the two techniques in his mind and was instantly dumbfounded. The Yu Daoren is obviously an orthodox Taoist, but why did he pass on another demonic technique to me? What's going on? This heavenly devil soul-devouring mantra could slay ghosts and devils, but it could also devour souls at the same time. It's only right and proper to get a reasonable reward when you're doing something chivalrous. It seems that my sect's founder, the Yu Daoren, is not a pedantic person after all. Shi Xian laughed loudly. As a transmigrator, Shi Xian naturally understood the principle that there was no difference between good and evil in strength. Therefore, he accepted this heavenly devil soul-devouring mantra without any hesitation. Therefore, the supreme existence who would attain eternity in the future was led into a trap by someone from the very beginning. This really isn't a trap. The great hoodwinker expressed his innocence. The great Tao of devouring is also a great Tao. Moreover, you can use it to attain the cycle of life and death. If you can comprehend the essence of the 6 paths of reincarnation, understand the cycle of life and death, and understand the cycle of life and death, you can also attain eternity. Moreover, which great Tao to use as the foundation of one's own body depended on one's own nature. A great Tao that was incompatible with one's nature could not be cultivated. After leaving Yangzhou, Liu went directly to Luoying, one of the 2 capitals of the central continent. In the central continent, where the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was thin, there were very few cultivators. However, martial arts were abnormally prosperous. There were the 5 great grandmasters, the 4 young masters of the pugilistic world, the demonic sects, the orthodox sects, and all kinds of martial arts sects, and heroes of the pugilistic world were everywhere. Then one could see the pugilistic world fighting everywhere. It was really a scene of swords and sabers, and the sky was filled with blood. As one of the 2 capitals of the central continent, Luoying was naturally very prosperous. Similarly, various sects of the pugilistic world were also very prosperous. Of course, on the surface, they were all legitimate businessmen. However, under the curtain of night, bloody battles could be seen everywhere. Kill. In the dark alley, another fight broke out. The Dajiang gang, the shipping merchant, and the caravan gang, the land logistics, had another fierce conflict because of their business relationship. A group of low-level gang members killed each other until blood splattered everywhere. But the bosses of both sides were law-abiding, benevolent, and charitable officials. Tisk. Liu was hiding at the side. Seeing this scene, he shook his head and sighed. No matter which world it is, these hot-blooded youths are easy to fool. Both sides of the battle were a group of teenagers. They charged the fiercest, killed the most ruthlessly, and died the quickest. In this kind of chaotic battle, no one should care if there's one less corpse. Liu chose a suitable corpse and waved his hand, putting it into the resource vault. You guys take your time. I won't be watching anymore. Liu could easily disperse this kind of Jianghu conflict. However, even if he could save them for a while, he couldn't save them forever. The great hoodwinker, Liu wasn't here to be a saint. What did their fighting have to do with him? Turning around and leaving the battlefield, Liu walked out of Luoying and landed on a tall mountain outside a city. He stretched out his finger, and with a brush of the heaven and earth chi, a cave abode was created in the cliff. Liu temporarily settled down here. The laws of heaven and earth in this world are very special. If one of the 3,000 great Taos is occupied by someone, others won't be able to merge with this great Tao. Therefore, the battle between the mighty figures in this world is actually a battle of great Taos. Liu looked up at the void, and a smile appeared on his face. This universe was called the Void Universe, and it had countless worlds. Each world had countless living beings. These countless living beings were all cultivating and seeking transcendence. However, the great Tao was limited. If it was occupied, it would be gone. Therefore, the battle was a mess. To me, as long as I comprehend the great Tao, I can take the laws of heaven and earth of the void universe into my hands. There's no need to compete with them for the great Tao. After taking Yu Doran's Shangqing collection into his mind and carefully comprehending it from beginning to end, Liu had already understood. The path of cultivation in this world was divided into 2 major levels: Qi refinement and essence soul. Qi refinement was divided into 7 stages: soul nurturing, soul strengthening, astral projection, Qi drawing, divine soul, Jin Dan, and Yin soul. The essence soul stage was divided into essence soul, yang soul, heavenly man, Tao integration, creation, and eternal. It's indeed the Tao of the immortal essence soul. From the beginning, Qi refinement was to strengthen the divine soul. After understanding the essence of this world's martial arts, Liu was able to use the Shangqing treasure record as a reference. Very quickly, he was able to innovate and create all kinds of martial arts. To me, comprehending the laws of this world and finally comprehending the chaos and perfecting the disorder of chaos is my goal. Therefore, it doesn't matter what cultivation technique I cultivate, as long as I can come into contact with the laws of heaven and earth of this world. Liyu's own path was already clear. He couldn't possibly walk the path of this world. The purpose of cultivation was only to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. I use the origin of matter and the origin of order as my foundation. The cultivation techniques of this world can also be incorporated into my own system. No matter what cultivation technique I cultivate, it won't change my essence. Liu chuckled and turned to look at the resource vault. Dubai, this unlucky fellow. I still have to torment him. With a wave of his hand, the resource vault glowed with colorful lights. Dubai's divine soul and the body instantly merged into one. A bit of vitality seeped in, and the body and divine soul were instantly restored. Throughout my journey in many worlds, I've only created people of the righteous path. I've never played with the demonic path. Liu laughed. Young man, the demonic path can also prove one's Tao. Taoism, Buddhism, and the demonic path, when one cultivates to the final realm, they all lead to the same destination. There's no difference in essence. The great Tao returns to one. Everything is derived from the 3,000 great Taos. Therefore, I'll bestow upon you the comfort technique. Idealism, great freedom. This was Liyu's comfort technique. Since the path of cultivation in this world was the path of immortality of the primordial spirit. In that case, solipsism, and there's nothing else other than myself. These were the supreme soul techniques. Since it's a demonic path, then it naturally has the ability to plunder other people's cultivation and devour their divine souls. After completing the basic settings, Liu created something that looked like a book slip. This was the carrier of the system. The preparation work is complete, but he looked up at the cave abode. It looked ordinary and didn't look like the cave abode of an expert. He reached out and pressed, and the chi of heaven and earth spread out. In an instant, the cave abode was renovated again. There was no monstrous evil spirit, no sea of blood, and no ghastly horror. There was only pure white like jade, pure and flawless. There were no impurities, and no impurities could be tolerated. This was the idealism. Young man, the future of the demonic path will be created by you. With a wave of his hand, he threw Dubai out of the resource vault. Liyu's figure flashed, and he instantly left the cave abode and disappeared without a trace. Only an original Taoist disciple was about to be tricked into becoming the successor of the demonic path. Chapter 1004. The Yu Tian was a world created by the Yu Daoren. After attaining eternity, the Yu Daoren transcended this world and disappeared without a trace. Many years later, a group of golden immortals at the Tao integration stage fought a great battle in order to compete for the great Tao. They broke through the Yu Tian. The destructive energy storm caused great destruction and almost wiped out the Yu Tian cultivation world. This was the great ancient destruction of the Yu Tian. The divine spiritual treasure, Shunshao Palace, which was the giant pagoda left behind by the Yu Daoren, desperately suppressed the violent destructive storm, allowing the Yu Tian to recover some of its vitality. Since the great ancient destruction, the Yu Tian cultivation world had recovered a little, and many cultivation sects have been born. Unfortunately, the great ancient destruction had severed many of their legacies. As a result, there were not many people in the Yu Tian cultivation world who had reached the second stage of cultivation, the primordial spirit realm. After attaining eternity and transcending eternity, even his own disciple, Qingyun Zi, was killed. The mountain river pearl benefited Shixian. The heaven and earth that I created was almost destroyed by someone again. Liu stood in the void, looking at the huge hole in the center of the Yu Tian world and shaking his head. I don't believe that an eternal realm existence, like you can't see your future after transcending eternity. If this isn't intentional, then it's strange. The eternal realm Yu Daoren could see the past and the future at a glance. After Yu Daoran transcended, he would definitely know the future of the Yu Tian. Is this all for sure, Xian? Liu smiled. I can only say that you have the potential to be a mastermind behind the scenes. Of course, all this had nothing to do with Liu. There are countless worlds and cultivators in this void universe. However, there are only 27 golden immortals who stand at the pinnacle of this world. Looking up into the void, Liu saw that in the endless void, there were 27 worlds blooming with incomparably resplendent light. The strongest only occupy one of the 3,000 great Daos. If there were no witnesses, then there was no need to talk about eternity. So, I still have to play slowly. There was no such thing as a law manifestation in this world. If Liu wanted to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth, and if he wanted to comprehend the primal chaos, he could only do so slowly. I still have to spend some time studying Yu Dorn's cultivation technique. If you want to gain something from this world, you can't be too hasty. With a sway of his body, Liu silently arrived at the broken land of the Yu Qian and came to the side of this huge tower. Is this the divine spirit treasure, Shunshao Palace, left behind by Yu Daoran? A smile appeared on Liu's face as he looked at the boundless tower. This world's artifact refining techniques are quite interesting. This world's treasure refinement arts were the arts of restriction. On the rough embryo of a Dharma treasure, one layer after another would be stacked. 72 layers of earthly fiend restrictions would become a celestial astral restriction, and the Dharma treasure would be refined into a spirit treasure. 36 layers of celestial astral restrictions would become a treasure restriction, and the spirit treasure would be refined into a Dharma treasure. 36 more treasure restrictions would become a spirit restriction, and the Dharma treasure would be refined into a spirit treasure. As for divine spirit treasures, they were a level higher than ordinary spirit treasures. So, this world's treasure refinement arts rely on the accumulation of time and dharmic power. Little drops make an ocean, and quantitative changes lead to qualitative changes. More importantly, this world's Dharma spells were cultivated in the same way. Layer after layer of talismans, layer after layer of dharmic power restrictions, and quantitative changes lead to qualitative changes. From ordinary Dharma spells to Tao spells, and then to immortal spells, they all relied on layer after layer of Dharma spells. Alright, this world's cultivation is really dry and boring. Regardless of whether it was treasure refinement or Dharma spells, they all required layers of talismans and dharmic power. It might be refreshing to do it once or twice, but if you had to stack talismans and dharmic power every day for thousands of years, it would really be boring to death. The most important point was, even if your cultivation level had increased, but if your Dharma spells had not been stacked to a sufficient level of restriction, then they would have no power at all. It was as if your cultivation level had increased, but your skill proficiency was not enough. You would still be unable to hurt others. Alright, luckily, I don't have to practice like this. Liu just had to think about the countless years he had spent in the cave abode, stacking talismans and dharmic power on himself. Those days were simply unbearable. I only cultivate Tao, not Dharma spells. To Liu, he did not need the offensive methods of this world. He only needed to cultivate Tao. Dharma spells, that was too boring. The Dharma treasures of this world have another characteristic. When they're cultivated to a certain level, they're no different from humans. Dharma treasures can also be cultivated and can also achieve Tao. For example, this huge pagoda in front of me. Looking up at the huge pagoda in front of him, Liu saw that on the top floor of the pagoda, a dignified and beautiful woman was sitting cross-legged on a futon, inhaling and exhaling spiritual chi and condensing Dharma spells. Bolts of lightning flashed around the woman's body. Electricity flowed, and yin and yang intersected. This is the weapon spirit of the divine spiritual treasure, Shunshao Palace. Liu could tell at a glance that the weapon spirit of Shunshao Palace had reached the level of a half-step golden immortal. She had fused one of the 3,000 great Taos, the great Tao of lightning. The Tao of lightning could be extended to the Tao of yin and yang, the Tao of destruction, the Tao of order, and the Tao of calamity. However, she chose the most basic Tao of lightning. This is because the boss behind her has run away. Without a backer, she does not dare to compete with a golden immortal. Liu smiled. This granny of Shun Xiao would reincarnate and cultivate again with the help of Shi Xian, and fuse the Tao of destruction again. Therefore, he could not be bothered to interfere in this matter. Shun Xiao Palace is a Dharma treasure refined by the Yu Daoren after all. Referring to the restrictive spells on Shun Xiao Palace and the Shanshan collection, it is clear at a glance that they are of the same origin. This divine firmament palace was forged using the divine firmament heavenly thunder technique of the prime clear treasury, together with the samadhi heavenly wind technique of the Shanshan collection. It formed the Tao of yin and yang transformation. All right, I've finished looking. Comparing the two, I have a complete understanding of the Shanshan collection now. Liu combined the restrictive spells of Shun Xiao Palace and the Shanshan collection to completely grasp the essence of Yu Yu's true teachings. Therefore, I need to create a technique for myself to practice and comprehend the laws of heaven and earth of this world. In a flash, Liu's figure disappeared, and he directly escaped from the Yu Tian. Liu found a random spot in the void and sat down cross-legged. Then, he began to create the technique that he needed to cultivate in this world. I've created laws many times before. However, the creation of this technique is also a summary of my own experience. Therefore, Liu looked up at the void. Therefore, I want to create a great Tao of matter and order in this world. Chapter 1005. The cultivation of this world is the immortal primordial spirit. Liu pointed between his eyebrows, and an avatar rushed out instantly, turning into a speck of light in the void. My origin of matter is the sublimation of the 5 elements qi into the black and yellow qi. And the origin of order is the Tao of order represented by the yin and yang qi. The path I take is the combination of essence, qi, and spirit to form the origin. The path of immortal primordial spirit in this world is actually the fusion of qi cultivation and spirit refinement. He stretched out his hand, and the avatar that flew out landed in his palm. Using myself as an experiment, I can be considered to have invested a lot. Liu smiled and shook his head, as if he was dedicating himself to science. In fact, it was just a thought of an avatar. Even if there was a problem in the experiment, causing the avatar to be annihilated, it could be recovered in the blink of an eye. There was no capital at all. Then let's use this avatar to verify the Tao that I deduced. The speck of light in his palm suddenly exploded with a ray of light. This ray of light was very strange, invisible and without substance. It existed, but also seemed to not exist, as if it was the chaos before the heaven and earth were created. In the end, it is still incomplete. If there's not even this bit of light, then it is the real chaos. Liu sighed and pointed at the speck of light. In a trance, a violent roar sounded. It also seemed that there was never any sound. Boom! The intertwining black and white light lit up, and order was born. Immediately, the 5 elements flowed, light and darkness alternated, and all things were born. It was as if a world was born in Liu's palm. Not enough. Still not enough. Liu shook his head. This is only my own strength, and it has nothing to do with this world. Waving his hand to withdraw the avatar, Liu frowned. This world's calamity, good fortune, merit, saint virtue, karma, luck, and other Tao laws, I'm still unable to integrate them into my body. Could it be that I have to experience it personally? To create the 2 Tao of matter and order in this world, I am afraid that I really have to practice it personally to achieve it. My essence has long transcended this world. So, the current me actually doesn't exist in this world. How can someone who doesn't exist create a great Tao for this world? People who watch movies can't change the plot, unless he was an actor or even a director. Of course, Liu is referring to the creation of the great Tao of order and the great Tao of matter. It wasn't that he couldn't mess around. After all, he had already done it, hadn't he? Creating a grand Tao is naturally not the goal. However, if I don't create a grand Tao, I won't be able to obtain the laws of this world. I won't be able to comprehend the primordial chaos. Liu shook his head helplessly. So, this world will have another transmigrator. Zhang Xian flicked his wrist, and a spirit clone flew out from his glabella. My divine clone's level is still too high. I have to wash it clean before I can cultivate it again. With a wave of his hand, the soul essence of the avatar instantly dropped. From transcending the world and possessing the characteristics of chaos, he fell to the level of mortals. This is the same as an immortal descending to the mortal world. Liu smiled and shook his head. Luckily, it's only a spirit clone. This feeling of dropping in level is really unbearable. Since I'm an immortal descending to the mortal world, I have to be reincarnated. Only then can I completely fit into this world and not be seen as an alien by the heavens and earth and be rejected or even sent down a heavenly tribulation. This spirit clone was only at the mortal realm. It wasn't like His Majesty Emperor Yu, who ran rampant in all the worlds. It couldn't withstand a heavenly tribulation. My main body will hide in the void and use this spirit clone to comprehend the cultivation process of this world. This is also an experience and also a life. Liu chuckled and waved his hand, sending this spirit clone into Yu Yuqian, into the territory of Zhongzhou. Back then, when I was still a loser, I had a thought. How great would it be if I could choose to reincarnate myself? Now, then I can choose to reincarnate however I want, right? Liu's main body turned into nothingness and chaos, disappearing from this part of the universe. The spirit clone turned into an undetectable speck of light and floated down from the void, landing in the land of Zhongzhou. Zhongzhou's Luojing. This was one of the two capitals of Zhongzhou's 13 states. Other than Luojing, the other was Anjing. What Luojing and Anjing? Aren't they just Luoyang and Chang'an? Big Boss Li cursed silently as the speck of light descended from the sky. This Zhongzhou Empire's royal family is also surnamed Li. Even if I reincarnate, I have no intention of changing my surname. The undetectable light flashed and disappeared, instantly landing in Luojing's imperial palace. At this moment, in a great hall of the imperial palace, a graceful and luxurious woman was giving birth. Why isn't she giving birth yet? Why isn't she giving birth yet? Imperial physician fan, how is it now? A middle-aged man in a dragon robe looked nervously at the tightly shut palace door, anxiety appearing on his dignified face. This was the current emperor of the Zhongzhou Empire. In the 15 years since he ascended the throne, the Zhongzhou emperor had worked hard to govern the country and lived with the people. He could be called a wise ruler. Unfortunately, this wise ruler still had no children. He had a lot of daughters, but not a single son. Seeing that the huge empire was facing a situation where there was no successor, all the knowledgeable people in the empire became anxious. Once the emperor had no children, the succession of the throne would be a big problem. It might even lead to the instability of the country and cause chaos in the world. Fortunately, the imperial concubine had good news. Therefore, the child that was about to be born attracted the attention of countless people in the empire. Your Majesty, the imperial concubine is having a difficult birth, I'm afraid. At this moment, a female official ran out with a pale face and reported to the emperor in a panic. What? The emperor was shocked, and his face was pale. The heavens above, the previous emperors above, please protect my child and let him be born safely. Boom! At this moment, there was a violent roar in the void. A dazzling sun descended from the sky, illuminating the entire world. At this moment, countless people who were paying attention to the palace and the imperial concubine's birth saw this sudden phenomenon and jumped up in shock. Ong, roar, the cries of dragons and phoenixes resounded through the sky. Under the shocked gazes of countless people, this brilliant sun fell from the sky and landed in the imperial concubine's palace. Gwa gwa. A baby's cries sounded, the wind and clouds surged, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. Son, my son, my son is born. The crown prince is born. The emperor was so happy that he laughed and shouted to the sky. The sun comes into my arms, the dragon and phoenix cry, the wind and thunder surge. The birth of the crown prince has such a phenomenon. Heaven bless my emperor. Heaven bless my country. In an instant, countless people shouted and bowed to the ground. Name him you, crown prince. Bestow imperial consort Hua 100 boxes of pearls and jade. The emperor laughed and ordered, pardon the world, rejoice. Long live the emperor. Thus, Big Boss Lee was officially reincarnated. Then, Big Boss Lee sealed his divine sense. Damn, I actually wet the bed? No, this must not be spread, otherwise I will be laughed to death. Chapter 1006. This is a tragedy. Liu looked up at the sky and sighed. I really want to know how those soul transmigrators who were reincarnated to this world, how did they survive their infancy? Experiencing the infancy again, and with clear memories of the infancy, that kind of horror was simply indescribable. Wetting the bed. All right, this word had already become Big Boss Lee's taboo. Only by sealing off one's divine sense and completely acting like an ignorant infant could he live on. The avatar and the main body felt the same and were also synchronized. Thus, Big Boss Lee's main body directly sealed off the avatar's divine sense, so that what the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. When Big Boss Lee's avatar reincarnated, Dubai was also at the crossroads of life. I am still alive? After leisurely waking up, Dubai shockingly discovered that he was actually still alive. Didn't I suffer from chi deviation when I was visualizing the moonlight spirit cleansing technique, and my soul was burned by the moonlight fire? Why am I still alive? Dubai struggled to get up, and looking at the pure white jade cave in front of him, he was shocked. What is this place? The pure white jade cave in front of him was spotless, without any impurities, and was incomparably pure. However, this pure white, the extreme white, gave birth to an indescribable feeling of oppression in one's heart. Sheep fat white jade. Everything in this cave, including the floor and walls, is made of pure sheep fat white jade, and there isn't even a single gap. It is completely one. Dubai opened his mouth wide, and for a long time he could not close it. This cave was carved out of sheep fat white jade. But was there such a large piece of sheep fat white jade in this world? It is impossible for the mortal world to have such a thing. The only possibility is that it is a cultivator. This must be a cultivator's cave. Dubai took a deep breath, and his heart was somewhat excited. After cultivating with the old Taoist for 10 years, Dubai had heard the old Taoist mention countless times that there were no longer any real cultivators in the Middle State. The old Taoist had spent his entire life trying to find other cultivators, but now, one had appeared before him. The fact that I'm still alive after going berserk means that this senior must have saved me. Dubai hurriedly bowed to the ground respectfully. Senior, thank you for saving my life. Dubai is eternally grateful. After kowtowing and calling out, the cave was completely silent. There was no response at all. Could it be that this senior isn't here? At this time, Dubai suddenly realized that his body seemed to be very different from before. His body was robust, and his jinshi was exuberant. However, he had only cleared 2 meridians. Moreover, his height and physique were slightly different from before. What's going on? Dubai was shocked. He quickly reached out and searched his body. Sure enough, this is no longer my body. For cultivators, the soul is their foundation. It wasn't a big deal to change his body. At most, I'll just have to spend a bit more effort on tempering my body and nurturing my chi. I'll just have to start all over again. But Dubai felt a wave of doubt. I went berserk and caused my soul to burn. What was damaged was only my soul. Since this senior was able to save my divine soul, why did you change my body? Isn't this superfluous? The actions of a senior expert were definitely hard to fathom. Unable to make sense of it, Dubai didn't bother about it anymore. After all, he had already died once. It was already fortunate that he was still alive. As long as he was alive, changing his body was a small matter. Senior's saving grace, Dubai is eternally grateful. May Senior grant me an audience. Dubai shouted toward the cave again. However, after this call, there was still no response from the cave. This senior isn't here? Dubai furrowed his brows in puzzlement and walked towards the depths of the cave. Along the way, his eyes were filled with pure white. It was so white that it made one's heart palpitate. There's actually no one, and this cave doesn't even have any daily utensils. It doesn't look like there's anyone here. What's going on? Dubai's heart was filled with doubts. He walked around the entire cave and searched every nook and cranny of the cave. Not only did he not find anyone, there weren't even any utensils. It was completely an empty cave. More importantly, this cave didn't even have a door, so there was no way out. This is what's going on. Although Dubai had cultivated with the old Taoist for 10 years, he had also reached the stage of nourishing his soul. But at this stage, he still needed to eat. If he was trapped in this cave and couldn't get out, wouldn't he starve to death in a few days? Since this senior saved me, it's definitely not to let me starve to death here. There must be a way to leave. Don't tell me this is a test. Dubai suddenly recalled some stories and legends that the old Taoist had told him. Some senior experts, in order to select their successors, would bestow some opportunities. But along with the opportunities came a test. Sometimes, a slight mistake would cause one to miss out on a peerless opportunity. This place, don't tell me it's a test. A test to see if I can walk out of this place? Dubai calmed himself down. There must be a way out. It's just that I haven't found it yet. Indeed, a senior expert. His methods are indeed profound and unfathomable. Hence, Dubai threw himself into this test and searched the entire cave carefully. There's indeed something. After searching the cave carefully, Dubai discovered a secret compartment in the hall where he had awoken. Opening the secret compartment, there was a white jade box inside. Is this the opportunity left behind by the senior expert? A sense of eagerness arose in his heart as Dubai hurriedly opened this white jade box. Opening the box, there was a white jade scroll inside. Carefree technique. On the jade scroll, 3 majestic ancient words appeared in front of Dubai. On these 3 words, an aura of supremacy surged up, as though it was the supreme being of heaven and earth. Supreme, and only I am supreme. Unique, pure, ultimate, and unique. This is actually a technique inheritance? I wonder if it's stronger or weaker than the scripture of returning to nature that my master gave me. Dubai was a little excited as he hurriedly opened the scroll. Blank? It's blank inside? Not even a single word? This scroll was made up of 9 jade scrolls. After opening it, there was not a single word inside. This made Dubai very shocked. Since the senior has given me the inheritance, how could there not be any words left behind? Could this be the legendary jade scroll? The jade scroll that can only be read with divine sense? Dubai suddenly remembered that the old Taoist had once said that many years ago, the secret cultivation techniques were not written in words. They were recorded in jade scrolls with divine sense information. Could this be an ancient senior? Dubai's heart became more excited as he hurriedly placed the jade scroll between his eyebrows and released his divine sense to read the information inside. I am the great carefree demon master. I have achieved creation, eternity, transcended heaven and earth, great carefree. Due to fate, I was born out of gratitude. I have left my way of achieving Tao, waiting for the fated one. A mighty voice resounded in the sea of divine sense. Demon master? Hearing this voice, Dubai was dumbfounded. Chapter 1007. This cultivation technique is actually a demonic cultivation technique. This is actually the inheritance left behind by the great freedom demon master. Dubai's heart was in turmoil. Prove creation, obtain eternity, transcend heaven and earth. This great freedom demon master is actually so terrifying, simply unbelievably strong. Although Dubai did not know what prove creation, obtain eternity was, but just hearing this realm, he could imagine how terrifying it was. Who could achieve eternity? The returning to truth scripture that the old Taoist imparted to him. The highest realm could only be cultivated to Jean Dan, but Jean Dan experts could also die. Jean Dan was not eternal. As for transcending heaven and earth, it was even more unimaginable. The great freedom demon master's realm is so profound. This cultivation technique must be even more profound than the returning to truth scripture. Although it's a demonic cultivation technique, I could take a look at it first. His divine sense continued to enter the jade slip, communicating with the information left behind in the jade slip. What is Tao? What is Buddha? What is devil? Dubai was taken aback by the first sentence of the book. That's right. What is Tao? What is Buddha? What is devil? I followed Master to cultivate Tao for 10 years, cultivating Tao every day. But what is Tao? Unintentional is Tao. The heart is Buddha. Idealism is devil. Tao says inaction, Buddha says meditation, and devil says only oneself. Dubai had just started to have doubts when the information on the jade slip immediately gave him the answer. Tao is peaceful and inaction. This saying of unintentional and inaction hit the nail on the head, hitting the nail on the head. I don't know much about Buddha and devil, but this person equates Buddha, Tao, and devil. Could it be that these three are on the same level? Dubai was extremely shocked. The old Taoist had once said that those unorthodox Tao were cruel, violent, bloody, and terrifying, their methods cruel to the extreme. Could it be that such a terrifying thing was actually the same existence as Tao and Buddha? With doubts, Dubai continued reading. Immortal primordial spirit, eternal will, regardless of Buddha, Tao, or devil. In the end of cultivation, the body will merge with Tao, prove creation, and obtain eternity. Everything originates from Tao and also returns to Tao. Buddhism, Taoism, and fiendish Taoism all return to the same place. There is no difference in superiority. My Tao is based on one's heart and one's self. It is not limited to material things. Heaven and earth cannot stop my heart, and time cannot stop my will. There was no heaven, no earth, no God, no Buddha, no Tao, no devil. Only me. Seeing this, Dubai was extremely shocked. Just what kind of person was this great freedom demon master? How could he be so arrogant? Other than himself, he actually didn't care about anyone else. The more surprised he was, the more curious he became. Moreover, this demon didn't seem to be as ferocious, terrifying, and bloody as he had imagined. Dubai continued reading. The path of cultivation is divided into two major levels: Qi refinement and immortal spirit. Qi cultivation is further divided into 7 stages: soul nurturing, soul strengthening, astral projection, Qi drawing, divine soul, Jin Dan, and Yin spirit. The primordial spirit stages are divided into primordial spirit, yang spirit, heavenly man, Tao integration, creation, and eternal. Seeing this, Dubai was scared silly. Creation, eternity. At this moment, Dubai already knew what kind of existence this great freedom demon master was. The highest realm in the scripture of returning to nature was Jin Dan. But this Jin Dan realm, according to the freedom technique, did not even complete the first step of cultivation. Eternity was the second step to the extreme. According to the Mahasvara Dharma, creation was the creator and God of creation who could create a complete world, create heaven and earth, create all things, and create all living beings. As for eternity, it was already beyond heaven and earth, the highest realm of immortality when heaven and earth decay. Immortality when the sun and moon die. So this is the real demon. Seeing the introduction of the freedom technique, Dubai's heart was in turmoil. Since Buddhism, Taoism, and devil are essentially the same, since there are different paths to the same destination, what's wrong with me cultivating this freedom technique? With this thought, Dubai's heart no longer rejected devil arts. A true inheritance of the great Tao that pointed directly to eternity was countless times stronger than the scripture of returning to nature. With such a precious gem in front of him, what was the use of rubble? Thus, Dubai accepted the freedom technique without hesitation. The path of devil arts is to follow one's heart and self, to follow one's heart's desires, to be unrestrained. However, I is the only one. Desire is only a distraction. Unable to distinguish between I and desire, sinking into desire and losing one's true self, these people are only evil, but not demons. These words in the freedom technique dispel Dubai's last bit of worry. So that's how it is. So those so-called demons all walked the wrong path, became slaves to desire, and lost one's true self, lost one's nature. That's why they became demons. What a real demon seeks the most is one's true self. Suddenly enlightened, Dubai's face revealed a trace of a smile. The freedom technique is indeed a great opportunity for me. All right, Dubai neglected one point. Following one's heart's desires, not losing one's true self. However, human nature was evil. When he was immersed in his desires, would he think, perhaps this evil is my true nature? Once such thoughts were born, then one could only sink into depravity and become a great demon. After all, who could truly see through oneself? Who could know if one's thoughts came from one's heart, or if it was because of the influence of desire? So, devil arts were still devil arts. If one could truly see through one's heart, then one could do as one pleased, unrestrained. If one couldn't see through one's heart and still wanted to do as one pleased, unrestrained, then one could only be a demon. Everyone who faced such a situation would first think, I definitely won't be like them. I definitely won't tread on their path. However, those who could truly do it could be counted with one's fingers. My heart is one. My will is one. Today, I, Dubai, swear with my heart and my will as the foundation, to witness the supreme devil Tao, respectfully kowtowing towards the Mahasvara technique. Disciple Dubai is willing to inherit the Tao of the Mahasvara demon lord, following one's heart and one's will, eternally free. My Tao has a successor. My heart is comforted. A majestic and vast voice sounded from the Jade Scroll. Boom! After this voice sounded, the Jade Scroll is white as jade suddenly exploded into a pure white radiance, rushing into Dubai's mind. Following one's heart and one's will, eternally free. The vast voice echoed in his mind. Pure and flawless white radiance blossomed in his mind, illuminating his entire soul and sea of consciousness. In the pure white radiance, a scroll of Jade Scroll slowly unfurled, and the information of the Mahasvara technique appeared on the Jade Scroll. The Tao of cultivation is the Tao of plunder. Cultivators plunder heaven and earth yuan qi, plunder heaven and earth treasures, and plunder all living things in the world to achieve themselves. Buddhists, demons, and demons are all like this. My Mahasvara technique is even better. All living things in the world, there is nothing that cannot be plundered. Seeing this, Dubai also understood why this was a devil technique. According to this, nothing cannot be plundered. Then what about other cultivators? Were they also targets of plunder? The Tao of cultivation is indeed the Tao of plunder, plundering the creation of heaven and earth. All cultivators in the world are like this. Therefore, devil techniques are only plundering a little more. Under the persuasion of this theory, Dubai had completely fallen into the fire pit and stepped onto the devil Tao. Chapter 1008. Crown Prince Yu was born with a strange appearance. He was born with the ability to speak and intelligence, which is rare in the world. When the Crown Prince was born, there was a strange phenomenon in the sky. It was like the sun rising from the east, illuminating the world. Dragons and phoenixes cried, and the wind and thunder surged. This is the sign of a saint descending into the world. 3 years had passed, and Li Yu's incarnation was finally 3 years old. He cheated and adjusted the baby's body, allowing His Majesty Emperor Yu to get rid of the embarrassment of wetting the bed. Li Yu then unsealed his incarnation's consciousness. Thus, the Crown Prince, who knew how to call for help if he needed to go to the toilet, was shocked, and the mystical halo around him became stronger. Since he was recognized as a saint descending into the world, Li Yu naturally did not hold back. In the late spring, the Crown Prince picked a wild rice from the outer imperial plantation in the outskirts of Luojing and planted it in the palace's flower bed. At first, no one paid attention to it. In autumn, a bucket of rice was harvested from this rice. With this rice as the seed, 1,000 caddies of rice were produced in the coming year. Auspicious signs descended from the heavens, and the world was shocked. Everyone said that the Crown Prince was the reincarnation of the ancient Yin Emperor. Big Boss Li had created the hybrid rice in this world. Thus, merit descended from the heavens. Apart from merit, there was also the aura of human holy virtue. Merit, holy virtue, moral virtue, good fortune, and nether virtue. This world has the aura of the 5 virtues. In this young body, the aura of merit and holy virtue merged into the body and soul. Li Yu realized that the last barrier between him and this world had disappeared. Yes, Li Yu was definitely not tinkering with the hybrid rice to save the people and save them. After reincarnating, Li Yu realized that even though his incarnation had reincarnated, there was still a barrier between him and this world. That was, the soul of a transmigrator was still different from this world. In order to eliminate this barrier and complete his plan, Li Yu spent 2 years creating the hybrid rice. Only then did the aura of merit and holy virtue get rid of the last barrier and truly integrate into this world. I've been prepared to abandon this divine clone of mine since the beginning. Once I become too entangled with this world, taking it back might affect my main body. Then, I can only give up on this avatar. The 3-year-old boy shook his head with a gloomy expression. I was already prepared to throw it away from the start. This divine clone of mine is really unlucky. Since I'm already prepared to throw it away, I'll just play as I please. He jumped down from the railing and landed lightly and steadily on the ground. For the past 3 years, Li Yu's body was still too weak, and he was unable to cultivate his qi. He could only use the body-tempering method to temper his qi and blood. Although his arms and legs looked small, in a real fight, this 3-year-old Li Yu could easily kill a cow with 1 punch. Unfortunately, other people didn't know that he had this ability. Your Highness, be careful. A group of palace maids screamed and rushed up, their faces pale with fright. If anything happens to the Crown Prince, none of us will want to live anymore. All right, it's my fault. Li Yu looked at the group of palace maids who were so shocked that their faces were pale and their bodies were trembling. She felt helpless. I can't continue living like this. Men, prepare the carriage. I want to leave the palace. Li Yu roared, his aura fierce. Unfortunately, no matter how fierce a 3-year-old child was, he could only speak in a childish voice. Regarding this, Big Boss Li felt gloomy again. Although if he wanted to grow up, he could directly become an adult overnight. However, if he did that, the divine clone that he had painstakingly assimilated into this world would immediately be rejected by the heavens and earth. When will these days come to an end? Li Yu sat in a steel carriage, escorted by a group of guards in bright armor and wielding spears and swords, and slowly drove out of the palace. As the emperor's only son, if it wasn't for the saint descending title, Li Yu would be dreaming if he wanted to leave the palace. Even if he went out now, he was surrounded by 1,000 palace guards and sat in a steel carriage. Even if he was shot by countless arrows, it wouldn't hurt Li Yu at all. But I don't need all of you to protect me like this. If he continued to be locked up like this, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Hence, Li Yu had already chosen a place to leave the palace today. To Enle House. Li Yu ordered from the carriage. Enle House? Your Highness, that is the most remote place in the west of the city where the poor and vagabonds live. Your Highness going there isn't appropriate, right? Wang Sha, one of the palace guards, who was known as the Spear King of Ho, quickly explained to Li Yu and advised Li Yu not to go to the west of the city. Wang Baowei, if this crown prince doesn't know the hardships of the world, how will I govern the world in the future? Li Yu did not hold back at all as he put on airs. Your Highness is wise. With this big hat being placed on them, no one could resist. Wang Baowei could only obediently lead the group to the west of the city. The mighty group passed through the streets and alleys, quickly arriving at the west of the city. After arriving at the west of the city, the people in front of them gradually became sparse. When the carriage arrived at Enle House, there were almost no people and carriages on the road. On a shabby street, other than Li Yu's group, there were only a few children playing on the side of the road. The houses on both sides of the road were dilapidated and old, clearly not having been repaired in a long time. With one look, one could tell that this was a place where poor people lived. There is such a poor place under the feet of the Son of Heaven. How can it be compared to the world? Li Yu shook his head and sighed. Actually, his eyes weren't looking at the hardships of the world, but rather cultivating to become an immortal. Enle House was very remote, and there were almost no outsiders coming here. When Li Yu's mighty group of people walked into the reclining happiness lane, it immediately alarmed everyone in the lane. Countless heads poked out from the doors of the houses on both sides, curiously looking at the group. Is it the returning dragon temple? In the northernmost part of Enle House, a shabby Taoist temple stood alone. This was the purpose of Li Yu's visit today. In this returning dragon temple, there were true cultivators from outside the central province, cultivators of the Jindan realm. Moreover, this place had a teleportation array from the central province to the eastern sea. Li Yu's avatar reincarnated, not to become the crown prince or emperor, but to cultivate, to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth, and thus to comprehend the disorder of chaos. Stop the carriage. When they were about to arrive at Enle House, Li Yu ordered the carriage to stop. Wang Baowei, I want to get off. Yes. After arranging the guards, Wang Baowei had Li Yu open the door and get off the carriage. He warmly received the people, encouraged them to work hard and become rich, told them that His Majesty the Emperor would never forget them, and gave each family a gift. Then, Li Yu used the excuse that Taoists are also people under the Emperor's rule to give Enle House a warm welcome. Your Highness the Crown Prince, we are people outside the world and have long jumped out of the world of mortals. Your Highness the Crown Prince's generous gift, we are ashamed to accept it. Holding the heavy silver, two Taoists gnawing on chicken legs smiled, thinking, tomorrow we can have a good drink again. The master still hasn't come out? You're sending me away with such trash? It seems that I have to show you my power. Li Yu glanced at the back hall of the Taoist temple, and then looked at the portrait hanging in the main hall of the Taoist temple, and sneered in his heart. Dea Quanzi, you dare to worship your own portrait as a Tao ancestor. Then let's see if you can withstand my incense. Walking to the altar, Li Yu picked up a stick of incense, lit it, held it in his hand, and bowed to the portrait. The chi of merit and holy virtue suddenly rushed up. Crack! The portrait hanging high in the main hall was hit by the chi of merit and holy virtue, and suddenly burst into pieces. F***CK. An old Taoist screamed in shock and anger in the back hall. Chapter 1009. With the addition of merit, all evils would be easily avoided. With the appearance of holy virtue, evil spirits would be frightened. Dea Quanzi was neither evil nor a demon. He was born in Ingzhou Immortal Island, one of the 3 immortal islands of the Eastern Sea. He was an orthodox Taoist disciple, Elder Jindan of Ying's Huxian School. However, He could not accept the bow of a virtuous person. Although merit and holy virtue were not harmful to Deakwanzi, accepting this bow would damage his luck and merit. This world had heavenly tribulations, the 3 calamities and 9 tribulations. Each tribulation was a narrow escape. In the entire cultivation world, countless seniors and experts had fallen under the heavenly tribulations and died. Accepting the bow of a virtuous person would damage his luck and merit, making it more dangerous to go through the heavenly tribulations. What a loss! What a loss! Deakwanzi was extremely depressed. Wasn't it just putting on the airs of an immortal cultivator? Wasn't it just being lazy to care about mortals? Wasn't it just being pretentious? Did you have to do this to me? Moreover, even if he was depressed, he could not do anything. He was respectful to you and offered you incense. This was a form of respect. If you couldn't accept it, that was your own problem. How could you blame him? There's no other way. I can only meet him. If his aptitude is not bad, bringing him into the immortal sect is also a merit. In any case, it can make up for the loss. Deakwanzi waved his hand, and a speck of light flashed. His unkempt appearance instantly became transcendent, and he looked like a transcendent being. Immeasurable deity. Deakwanzi walked out of the back hall and bowed. Your Highness the Crown Prince has arrived. I did not go out to welcome you. Please forgive me. The slovenly old Taoist with white hair and a youthful complexion suddenly turned into this enlightened master. The other 2 Taoists in the Taoist temple were stunned. You don't have to be so courteous. Little Liu, who was 3 years old, nodded his head solemnly and cupped his hands towards Taoist Kwanzi. Liu came here abruptly and disturbed Taoist priests' peaceful cultivation. It's nothing. Deakwanzi's face was full of smiles, like a spring breeze. However, he cursed in his heart. Not only did you disturb my cultivation, but you also damaged my karma. I hope your aptitude isn't too bad. Otherwise, I won't be able to make up for my losses. Retracting his right hand into his sleeve, Deakwanzi made a gesture without leaving a trace. Then he activated his third eye and checked Liu's aptitude with aura viewing technique. F*CK. He must be blind. My eyes are about to go blind. Deakwanzi opened his heavenly eye. The bright yellow light of virtue and the golden light of virtue were like the sun in the sky. They were so bright that Deakwanzi's eyes hurt. What was even more terrifying was that within this 3-year-old child's body, there was a vast and mighty aura of chi and blood that was like the blazing sun. The brilliance of merit and virtue, the brilliance of chi and blood, was simply blinding. How can a 3-year-old child have such a vast amount of chi and blood? After almost being blinded by the brilliance, Deakwanzi hurriedly closed his heavenly eye. However, his heart was filled with shock. The vast amount of merit and virtue, the brilliance of chi and blood that was like the blazing sun, was simply too terrifying. No wonder I couldn't even take a stick of incense from him. Rumor has it that this crown prince is the reincarnation of the ancient Yin emperor. Things like born with the ability to speak and born with a strange appearance are all very mysterious. This crown prince has also created a rice seed that can produce 1,000 caddies per moo. Deakwanzi thought about those rumors and compared them to the blinding brilliance that he had just seen. He was even more shocked. Could this guy really be the reincarnation of some mighty figure? With such merit and such a vast amount of chi and blood, if he really is the reincarnation of a mighty figure, his temperament wouldn't be bad. If I can bring him into the sect, it will be a great merit. Deakwanzi was overjoyed. If he could bring Liu into the sect, not only would he make up for all his losses, he would also be able to earn back a huge amount of merit. However, I need to enlighten this crown prince and make him understand that the riches and honor of the mortal world are just fleeting clouds. Only by cultivating can one be free and unfettered in this world. I still need to use some tricks. Deakwanzi's eyes turned. He already had an idea in his mind. Your Highness, the Crown Prince is so kind that even outsiders like us can bask in your grace. I can't thank you enough. Daquanzi smiled as he sat down on the futon in the main hall. He looked up at Li Yu. I don't have anything valuable on me. I only have one trick to make your highness smile. He waved his hand. In an instant, the sunny sky suddenly turned into a vast night sky filled with stars. With a wave of his hand, the sky changed. When this divine ability was used, all the guards, including the 2 Taoist priests in the Taoist temple, were stunned. Immortal! Immortal! With a cry of surprise, all the guards fell to the ground and shouted, "The immortal has shown himself!" Only the 3-year-old Li Yu stood in the hall with a calm face, as if he didn't care about this unforeseen event. In fact, he really didn't care. It's just an illusion. Although the power of my avatar has been reduced to the level of a mortal, my eyesight isn't bad. Li Yu looked at Daquanzi with a calm face. He smiled and nodded. Taoist priest, you are indeed a Tao enlightened master. You are so resourceful. You don't even bat an eyelid when Mount Tai collapses in front of you. A 3-year-old child with such a calm temperament. If you weren't the reincarnation of a mighty person, I would have dug out my eyes. Seeing Li Yu's performance, Daquanzi was even more satisfied. However, if this little trick can't move your heart, then let's do something more ferocious. I don't have anything to entertain your highness. I can only borrow a pot of osmanthus wine from the Moon Palace. Please have a taste. With a wave of his sleeve, a light rushed out from his hand. Buzz, the void shook, and the bright moon hanging high in the sky seemed to be pulled over by this light. The bright moon drew closer and closer. In the end, the huge moon covered the entire sky. The majestic and gorgeous palace on the moon, the huge osmanthus tree with knotted branches, and the graceful fairy on the moon were all clearly visible to the eyes. Everyone could even smell the osmanthus fragrance coming from the Moon Palace. Moon Fairy, I have to entertain guests, but I don't have any good wine. Please lend me a pot of osmanthus wine for my... Daquanzi called in the direction of the Moon Palace. So it's Tao enlightened Master Taoist Quan. It's just a little wine. I hope you don't mind. Inside the Moon Palace, a beautiful fairy with a peerless demeanor carried a flask of wine as she stepped on the moon and walked over. This is the best osmanthus wine from the Moon Palace. Please have a taste. The fairy put the wine pot on the table and bowed to Daquanzi and Li Yu. Then, she turned and floated away. Thank you, fairy. Daquanzi cupped his hands and then waved his sleeve again. Instantly, the sky changed. The bright moon in the sky returned to the clear sky. The dreamlike scene left all the guards dumbstruck and absent-minded. Immortal! Immortal! This is a real immortal. Everyone cried out in excitement. One by one, they knelt down before Daquanzi respectfully. They were filled with admiration for this true immortal. Beautiful! Beautiful! Li Yu clapped his hands and laughed. Taoist priest, your magic trick is really beautiful. The magic trick performed by the troupe in the Moon Palace is much better. Huh? Magic trick? Daquanzi was stunned. My mirror flower, water moon technique is a real Taoist magic, not a magic trick. You really think it's a magic trick? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.